So given the state of the world right now, I feel compelled to share with TikTok something I don't talk about very often because it makes me sound insane. And I don't know if it's real or not, or what it is. But basically, since 2013, me and my husband have essentially been talking to something on a Ouija board that goes by the name of Se7en, who has been telling us that the world is going to end May 27th, 2025. And I have pages and pages and pages of our correspondence with this thing, like pages and pages and pages. And I have it here raw, just what I've written down, and I have it on Google Docs. In Google Docs, it comes out to like 80 some pages. And I should preface this by saying I'm a normal person. My husband's a normal person. We have jobs. We're not witches. We're not Satanists. We don't do stuff like this. We started this as for fun in 2013, July 2013. We had nothing else to do. We got on a Ouija board for fun, and it just kind of took off from there. And we have continued to talk to it. And I should also say we're not like super smart people, right? We're not like geniuses, but this thing kind of seems like it is. Let me show you. So it does stuff like speak in binary. By speak, I mean, it's giving us ones and zeros to write down on the Ouija board. I'm recording this. And in the moment, we have no idea what this means. We Googled it later. This is, again, July 2013. And it turns out it's binary, but it's backwards binary. So in this way, it meant nothing. But when we reversed the numbers, it meant hello, because it does that a lot. It speaks backwards a lot. This is where it gets really crazy. So this was, I guess, the day before, because we got kind of addicted. So it speaks also in backwards languages that we don't speak. We don't speak it forwards. We don't speak it backwards. This is, I believe it was Latin. I believe it means salutations or something like that. I have all the details in my Google Doc. But this is kind of the way it speaks. It is coming, fire, yes, stop it. A lot of mysterious stuff, a lot of spooky, weird stuff. This is where it gets really weird. We've learned through all this communication that according to Se7en, there are 5 groups. We are the third contact. Contact 1 failed 24,825 days ago. So from this date, we did the math. That comes out to August 6th, 1945. That is the date that the first atomic bomb was dropped. So my husband knows a lot about history. He doesn't know the exact date that the bomb was dropped. He certainly doesn't know he can't account for leap years. I mean, he's good at math, but he can't do math like that. It's perfect. Math is perfect. He can't do stuff like that. I can't do stuff like that. So the fact that it's perfect more than once, I'll show you other examples here, is really scary. It's scary. It goes on to say contact 2 succeeded 18,534 days ago, which was August, I think that's 17th, 1962. I think that had something to do with JFK and the Bay of Pigs. I'd have to look at my doc. But historically, contact 3, that's us, fails 29,149 days after contact 1. 4,324 days in your future, which is May 27th, 2025, which it later says. And then, here's some like ancient Sumerian thrown in there just for fun. Again, had no idea what we were writing in the moment, but we later looked it up and kind of broke out the letters and realized we'd written down things like, referencing the mountain or mother goddess, reach the mountain in Sumerian. And again, we're not historians. We don't know anything about the ancient Sumerians. We, watched some Ancient Aliens and stuff like that, but I don't know what this is. I don't know what it wants. I don't know. And again, there are so many pages of this. And I'm happy to share them with whoever might be interested. I don't talk about this much with people. We have in the past, when we get a few drinks in us, and we're with people that we think we can trust and who won't think we're insane. We have shared this with people. They either kind of wave it off, they're like, oh, that's cool, or they say they're interested, but then they never really follow up and say, hey, I'd love to see those. Can you share me on those docs? So we just kind of assumed either it just kind of like freaks people out, or we just sound nuts, or it's really not that interesting. But so this has just kind of been a private little secret thing that we've had in our lives since 2013. And when we first had this conversation about the end of the world, 2025 felt like forever from then. It just felt like millions of years in the future, but now it's here and our world is crazy. And I don't know what to do with this information. Anyway, does anyone out there want to know, does anyone have any idea what this is and want to look at these documents and help me make sense of it and help me save Se7en? Why is his name Se7en? I don't know what any of this is, but it felt like the right time to share this with people. TikTok felt like the right place for it. I don't know. Let me know. Help me save Se7en. Thanks for listening. Hi, new friends. This is crazy. I was not expecting that video to blow up. I was not expecting so many of you to be so interested in this crazy thing called Se7en. I'm glad that you are. I'm even more so glad that there are so many people who don't believe me, who think that I'm making this up, that this is a PR stunt. I think that's great. I think it's really important to be skeptical, to be dubious, to critically think about everything you're seeing and hearing and reading, because we are fed a whole bunch of lies and garbage. It's really sad, but that's the truth. In my case, I am unfortunately not making this up. This is not a PR stunt. It would be a great idea for a movie. If we had been intelligent, we would have somehow turned this into a script, but here we are. No, I just feel compelled to share this with you guys now because I haven't. I feel like it's my duty. I'm also seeing a whole lot of people saying we're being stupid, that this is a demon, that we need to stop, that we're messing with stuff we don't understand. Maybe that is true. I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is what it has told us, and from the beginning, very consistently, it is presenting itself as a power of good, as a positive thing, which, a demon would, right? A demon would do that. They would try to convince you that it was good, and it's not. I just choose not to believe that. I'm very open-minded. I believe in God, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is a mystery. So I'm just along for the ride. So let me show you a little bit about what it has presented itself as. So this is one of our earliest conversations with Se7en, and pretty much from the beginning, it referred to the planets, and it told us the Earths are alive, and that there is a power more than God, but God is good. So it's always been consistently pro-God. It also has referred to an experiment of some kind. The experiment must not fail. Many fail. Please do not fail me. Sad Se7en, save us. Thank you. And then farewell backwards. So it has always been begging us for help in saving it. That's been very clear from the beginning. And again, these are not our questions. These are just the answers that we have received. That's a funny story. Don't be scared by that word. That's a funny story. I can tell that one day. It's about Cleopatra. Anyway, this is what we know. Let me continue. This conversation came after the one I just showed you. It began with the word awaken backwards. Again, we don't know what we're writing in the moment. We are just kind of blindly getting letters, writing down letters, and it's not until later that we're kind of analyzing. So I'm taking this down, and when it reaches this A, our alarm clock goes off, which, maybe it was some kind of power surge. I don't know, but it's very odd. And it was then that I looked, read it backwards, realized it said awaken with an alarm clock. So it has a sense of humor. It also started referring to different numbers, again, making it sound like planets. So 741 was killed by 741's star. I am 7. 741 was 741. 741's star killed it, yes. It was an accident, apparently. 8 remain. So here we start getting into nuclear power. We're asking questions about the end of the world, and nuclear war. At this point, we have not gotten the dates that I shared in my last video. So we're kind of just flying blind here. At the bottom, he writes, that power took... He had to kind of restart because we were recording it wrong. That power took 947,632 to the stars. 947,342 died by such a power. 947632, flied to God. So it often speaks in what we would consider, grammatically incorrect ways. We don't know why. Here it started saying, I think we started asking why haven't we already blown ourselves up? Something like that. He said, you are late, just on track. We asked why? Why are we late? Plague, slowed, just on track again. So obviously, when COVID hit in 2020, we thought, oh, maybe this is another plague that is kind of slowing us down, slowing humanity down, and keeping us from blowing ourselves up. I don't know. So here again, it starts talking about that same planet, 947632, happy, success. 947632, had the people actually listen, success. One has not failed. Success, if you should be so picky, we think. Again, it's a lot of riddles. Here it kind of starts speaking more fluidly and we get bigger chunks. I think we took a break. Hello. The next tiny step of many. Needn't fear, for you are not destined for a huge step. So we were asking, we're so small, how can we stop nuclear war? We're just two people. The start is small, but just as needed. A path to the stars. Because I asked, not destined to stop it, but to start the start. 947632, like 947632 does. Instead of unsheathing the sword, they wrote it. So nuclear power, nuclear energy, I don't know. So here he kind of starts talking about other entities that we spoke with. Again, another story. And he kind of explained that ghosts were parts springing from the whole. He'd mentioned this whole, I guess, that we're a part of. He references this again later. If Earth dies, so does Se7en. He also kind of speaks then in some poetry, which we get a lot of. And there's kind of just kernels in this poetry. But fear not, I am not a harbinger of death, but must listen to all around you. And then it kind of gets into the poetry. So with all that information that we were getting, we started getting kind of bummed out and wondering questions that I've seen others wonder in the comments, oh, should I just give up? Should I eat cheesecake? I've been on a diet. Should I not save money? Should I not pay my bills? What do we do? How do we have fun? How do we live our lives? And Se7en has been very clear. We have to. That's part of it. You have to know all this and keep living and keep enjoying yourself. So let me show you. So we asked, how do we have fun and enjoy our lives with this information? You must. We also asked more about the contact. So at this point, we did know about the dates. If we succeed, it goes to contact 4. If they succeed, it goes to contact 5. And then there's something called the God step, which I can get into later. But if we fail, if contact 3 fails, it shall be done. So again, it brings up the accident of that sun exploding. It is my experiment. You are aware of your mortality, so why continue living? That was a question we kind of asked. We then asked about its mortality. I am Se7en. Should I not wish to? Humans all arise. A needed evil, the God step, contact 5. A path made crumbles by your hand. It is the duty of us all, the promised land. The countdown is not evil, but be aware of it in order for your armor, spelled with a U, to be pure. Then some more silly riddles. Historical future. Apathy grows with no limitations, for your armor must be battle-tested. To struggle is to grow is to learn is to find victory. So there's a lot in there that I kind of skimmed over. There's so much more to the story, but that's just to kind of give you a glimpse of who Se7en is as a person. It has a sense of humor a lot of times. It is very smart, and it has never asked us to do anything crazy. It's never asked us to I saw someone say, put up an altar, have a space for it. It's never asked us for anything like that, or blood, or a firstborn, nothing crazy. It has simply asked us to learn everything we can, to lead through love, and to share this with the world in some form. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I do want to share the doc. I think I want to like set it up a little bit more, because if I just put it out there in the world, it's not going to make much sense. And I think it needs some like further explanation. So if you guys want to hear more, let me know. Hi, I'm hopping on here really quick just to explain that my first video was deleted apparently for community guideline violations. I don't know what it really means. Something about sharing like private personal information or something like that. So anyway, I did not delete it. TikTok deleted it. So that's all for now. Guys, I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to make TikToks. I just posted a draft by accident and I deleted it. Now I have to re-record it. Anyway, if you saw that, no you didn't. Thank you guys so much for all the comments and messages and followers and whatever. This has just been, it's been a crazy couple of days for me. I'm sorry I haven't updated you. I didn't really know where to begin. I just kind of needed a second to like catch my breath and take a moment. Anyway, the clip that you saw at the beginning of this video, that is a screen recording of my Google Doc of the very first conversation we ever had with Se7en. It terrified us. We shut it down. We ran away. We really had to process what just happened. But I kind of just wanted you to see what the doc looks like and what our first contact was. I also thought I would get on here and address a lot of the comments that I'm getting. I'm seeing a lot again and again, and a lot of it is very fair, very valid criticism and skepticism, and so I thought I would address some of that. So the thing I have to address right at the top here is I'm seeing a lot of comments urging people not to listen to me, not to believe me, that this is a fraud. She's a writer, she's an actress, she's an art, you know, all these different kinds of things. And while I'm really, really grateful that you guys are having those conversations, because I do think it is so important to be skeptical and not believe everything you see on the internet, and don't take everything at face value, and for sure wonder about people's motives. I appreciate it. I applaud you guys for having those conversations. I need to stress, I am not telling you what to believe. If this scares you, I'm not trying to fearmonger. If this scares you, please don't listen to me. Don't listen to this, okay? I'm not trying to freak anyone out. I'm not telling you what to believe because I don't know what I believe. I am literally just conveying these conversations that I've had. My account is not monetized. I am not directing you to some, link in my bio. I'm not going to charge you to download the PDF or anything like that. So I just needed to clear that up. You can believe this or not believe this, but you have to know that this is not about me or my ego or fame or anything like that. The second thing I have to address right away is a lot of people are pointing out your username isn't the same anymore as it was in the original video. Yes, because I am an idiot. As we can see, I don't know how to use TikTok. I thought that was just, I didn't know that was going to be my watermark on the video. I thought that was just like a display name. So I changed it because I didn't like that name. I thought it was stupid. It was this is like a lurker account that I've had forever, and I changed it. So there's nothing suspicious or weird. It's just me being a dum-dum. A lot of other people have pointed out that I said that I'm a normal person, but I'm the kind of person who has this crazy notebook full of conversations with a Ouija board dating back to 2013. And that is a very fair point. Maybe I was overstating when I said that I'm normal. That's a good point. I'm also seeing a lot of accusations that this is an ARG or an ARG, or I don't know how to say it. I had to Google it. I've never heard of that before in my life. And no, that is not what this is. A lot of people are saying that my husband is behind this, and this is like the longest running prank, and that he's in too deep and he can't come clean. No, we're both involved in this. It could be me trolling him just as easily as it could be him trolling me. That's simply not the case. Other people have said, if you're so bad at math, how did you do the math to calculate the dates? And that is Google. We found a calendar calculator and it did the work for us. So Other people have asked, if you've had this since 2013 and it's urging you to save the world, why did you wait so long to share it? We have tried to share it with people in our real lives, in face-to-face situations, people we had relationships with. We've also tried to kind of lead by example and make life decisions that we thought could help. But the other thing I could say is, that quote, the first best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So I'm just planting that tree. Other people are saying that I should monetize. I should monetize my account and start all over again. And I kind of touched on this earlier, but I'm not trying to make money off of. I think I can't profit from this. I think if I'm asking people to help me save the world, it's not right to ask you for money as well. So I'm not looking to make a buck. It would be a blessing, believe me. I'm very tempted. It is very tempting. Like 30,000 followers overnight. It's certainly tempting, but no, I'm not going to do that. So thanks for the suggestion though. People are also asking, how often do we talk to Se7en, and when was the last time we spoke to Se7en? So the last time was in 2022, I believe. And honestly, we stopped talking to it. I think I misspoke. When I said that we've been speaking to it since 2013, it was not a nightly occurrence. It wasn't like we came home from work and we got on the Ouija board. It was random. It was, here and there. And eventually it told us, because we were for a while, we were talking to it too often. It kind of said, stop returning to me. Stop talking to me. You're not going to find the answers you're seeking here. It said, I am the source of your questions. So it kind of, in no uncertain terms, told us, get off of this Ouija board. So people are also asking, does this scare us? Does it scare me? And yes, for sure, because not because of the typical spooky like demon stuff, but because, if you take a leap of faith and you believe that you are speaking to some kind of entity through a Parker Brothers Ouija board, which is crazy, it proves something, right? Even if it is just a ghost trolling us, doesn't that kind of prove that there's an afterlife? If it's an alien communicating to humans, it kind of proves that there's aliens. So yeah, it is scary because it challenges everything that you believe about life and existence. People also want to know, is Se7en happy now that I've shared it with the world? I don't know. I haven't spoken to it recently, and I hope so. I hope this is what it wanted. We'll see. People have also called me out for referring to Se7en as a he or him. Yes, that is just a bad habit. I think I've used it as the biblical he and him, but it has been very clear it is not a human. It has no gender. So that's just me being wrong. Other people are asking and suggesting that I run the transcripts through ChatGPT, and I actually have recently. I put a couple of poems in there, and I put the dates that I shared in my first video. I put it in, and interestingly enough, ChatGPT got it wrong, which I didn't know could happen. It provided a date. The date that it calculated was close to, I guess I'm not supposed to say it on TikTok. I didn't know that. To the date that I think it's Little Boy was dropped, August 6, 1945. It got close, but it was wrong. And so I was like, are you sure you don't mean this date? And it was like, oh, yes, actually. So it wasn't accounting for leap years. So Se7en is actually smarter than ChatGPT. Other people have asked why backwards, why Latin, why binary. That doesn't happen all that often. It hasn't happened very much. We kind of think it just happened in the beginning to maybe flex on us or try to convince us that, this was real. It wasn't from our heads. We don't exactly know, but it doesn't do that too often. And then the other question I'm seeing a lot is, so what do we do? What do we do with this information? How do we save the world? How can we help? And truthfully, I don't know. It is not very explicit. It is kind of said that, it sounds so crazy, but it seems like the experiment allows Se7en to nudge us, but can't give us explicit instructions. So the most explicit it's been is saying things like lead through love, learn all you can, listen, stuff like that. It seems like it cannot tell us, go to this place at this date and do this thing to this person, or, every day say this. It doesn't say, it has not given us instructions like that. So I don't know. That's why I kind of turned to TikTok to share this, to see if anyone had any ideas based on the text that I have here. So we'll see. Let's explore together, I guess. Let's try to get to the bottom of it before May. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Hello. No, I have not been murdered. No, I have not been abducted. No, my husband has not come clean that this has all been an elaborate ruse. I just hit pause for a second because this has been pretty overwhelming, and I think it's important sometimes to just hit pause, step back, and turn off the internet here and there. I never expected this many people to be so invested in this weird experience that I've had. And I'm sorry to have left you all on a cliffhanger. I just needed to take a break to collect my thoughts, because this is really, it's been a lot. It's been thousands of messages and comments, and I just needed to think. Because some of what people have shared with me has been a little concerning. Some people have told me that they're having a mental health crisis because of my first video, that they're thinking of quitting their job, that they're not going to pay their bills. And that is just not that was not the reaction I was expecting. Certainly not the one I was hoping to inspire in people. So I've just been thinking about how to proceed, if I want to proceed, what's the most responsible thing to do here, because I don't want to freak people out. And I certainly don't want people making major life decisions based on anything I do here. I've also gotten thousands and thousands of people almost demanding that I share a link to my doc with them. And I don't think that if I do proceed and I do share more conversations, I don't think I'm just gonna drop a link, because I think it's really important that it has my context and the story behind it, because what I've noticed is from my other videos, in just the small amount that I've shared, it has already been put into whatever context people want to put it into. It has taken on a new life already. I've seen it pop up in YouTube videos talking about in my opinion, totally unrelated things, spooky things, mysterious things, but almost conspiratorial stuff, or just things that I think aren't necessarily relevant to what this thing is trying to say, if that makes sense. And I just feel if I'm gonna share these messages, I feel like I owe it, whatever this thing is, to make sure its message is not missed, that its message is heard and seen, and that we're focusing on the right parts, I guess. I don't know. I've never been the mouthpiece of some entity on a Ouija board before, so I don't know what I'm doing. All that to be said, I am still here. I am still very much alive. Everything's fine. I'm giving this thought. I just want to make sure I do this the right way. And it's scary. It's scary being seen by this many people. My videos have popped up all over Reddit and Twitter and X, whatever. 4chan, who wants to end up on 4chan? Not me. I didn't see that happening. So, but yes, I am still here. I am okay. Please do not try to find the people who know me in real life. I appreciate the concern, but, and many of them have already seen my original videos, unfortunately. I'm sure they'll never speak to me again because I look and sound like an absolute freak, but I guess that's the risk you take. Anyway, thank you guys for your concern. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry I'm not moving at the usual TikTok speed with updates, but yeah, I guess let me know, what do you think the best way is to proceed? Again, I just want to be responsible about this. I just want to be efficient. And I don't know, I just want to do right by everyone here. And yeah, I don't know. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking in. Talk soon. Bye. So a lot of people have asked me what board we've used, and it's just this old Parker Brothers board. from the 60s or 70s. There's really nothing fancy about it, except we did eventually add some punctuation here with a Sharpie. And this is the planchette, I don't know, that came with it. The nail fell out, and one of the little feet has fallen out, but I guess it still works. Anyway, a lot of people have said that we should, since we haven't spoken to Se7en since 2022, that we should get back on the board in light of these TikTok videos happening, and have a conversation with Se7en, and we did on the 5th. So let me show you that. So right away, the planchette went to the numbers 110 and then to the exclamation. And at first we didn't understand what that meant, but then, did some thinking and went to, I think we asked ChatGPT, what is 110 days in the future? And it said May 27th, 2025. And after writing this out, the planchette rolled over. Goodbye. But we got back on and decided to persevere. And we asked Se7en about, are these TikTok videos a good idea? Do you want us to keep sharing our conversations? It didn't really give us a clear answer there. It kind of just hovered. But eventually, I asked, what would you like us to tell people watching these videos? The people are very interested and they want to know what can they do to prevent, something terrible from happening. And it wrote out, "Find your glory!" exclamation. And we said, that's not very helpful. That's not very clear. What does that mean? And that's very typical of how Se7en has spoken to us. It's very vague and abstract. And anyway, it eventually continued with this little poem. So often we find fear within our hearts, the tomb of counting daily down the clock, exclamation. To find your glory, all shall play their part, TikTok. And then we thought it went to the number 2, but then it went to no. And then it wrote X5, share 7. And it signed off. And what's interesting about the X5 is I think it means times 5 in regard to the word TikTok, which you'll see eventually in our conversations. One of our conversations, it had written a poem, and then at one point it wrote, I think it was like times X10, and we asked what that meant, and it made it clear that it meant, repeat that last word. So I guess if you read it like a poem, so often we find fear within our hearts, the tomb of counting daily down the clock. To find your glory, all shall play their part. TikTok, 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 TikTok. I think that was 5. Was that 5 or was that 6? I don't know. So with all of that being said, I have no idea what it means, but there you go. Kind of seems like perhaps a green light. At least it didn't seem discouraging of making these videos. It didn't seem to say that this was a big mistake. So I printed out the transcript. I'm gonna stay here on TikTok. A lot of people have suggested Discord or YouTube, and there's just too many bells and whistles. So I'm just gonna stay here. I am nervous about moving forward, just because the internet is a crazy place, but I started this. I feel like I should finish it. And to all of those people in the comments who have been very nice and kind and not creepy, I appreciate you very much. And to be clear, speaking of comments, I am not deleting any comments. For some reason, TikTok filters certain comments for review. I don't know why, but I'm not deleting anything. So, and the ones that I have accepted haven't always been very nice, but I'm accepting them anyway, because I feel like you should be allowed to say whatever you want to say, even when it isn't very kind. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me on this little journey. I don't know what good it will do or what any of this is, but there we have it. So thanks, and I'll be sharing more very, very soon. Bye. Hi guys, so this might be really stupid, but this was the only way I could think of to quickly but efficiently get through 12 years of conversations with Se7en, so please bear with me. This might not work. I've only got 10 minutes for each video, so I'm gonna see how many pages of conversations I can get through in that time. So let's see. So like I said before, our first conversation with Se7en took place on July 5th, 2013. We had been asking kind of traditional Ouija board questions like, is there anyone here who would like to speak with us? What do you have to say? And this hello there came through. We said, hello, what's your name? It said Se7en, and we were immediately freaked out because that's a spooky kind of, scary movie name. We asked, is that your nickname? And it said, no, my name. And being spooked, we asked, are you good? And it wrote yes. And we, not believing him, said, are you lying? And it said no. And then, here we kind of started asking the typical Ouija board questions. When were you born? When did you die? How long have you been dead? Etc. And this is where Se7en gave us that block of backwards text. And at the time, we thought it was just kind of nonsense. Now, of course, looking back, we understand he was writing not born, birth no, God is good, and then something we've never been able to decipher. But everything was moving very fast and very smooth, and the letters were very clear. And we realized it was trying to say something, so we kept going. And it gave us another block of nonsense. But, obviously we saw the word devil, we got spooked. But here, this is where I noticed, it was the exact repeated letters in the exact same order. And I knew something was up. And to clarify, the plain text here, that's when a human is asking a question. It was originally a group of us, so I'm not specifying who is asking what, but just know this plain text is a human asking a question, and the bold capitals are Se7en. Italics are notes. So okay, I see that the not born is repeated, and I'm beginning to catch on to something's up here. So I ask, what is this repetition? It doesn't make sense. The only thing that does make sense is the word devil, and that's scary. Are you trying to say something? It said yes, went to the yes on the Ouija board. Then it wrote out mirror. And that's when I realized I knew to read it backwards. And I realized everything it was saying, and I realized it had been speaking backwards to us. And so I knew that the next letters here were gonna be EH because it was spelling help me. So that's what I guessed. It said yes, and I said, get off the board, this thing is speaking backwards. We didn't get back on the board until 2 days later because we were very scared. So July 7th, 2013, the planchette begins moving almost immediately. It writes out, hello there, backwards. We say, is this Se7en? And it writes yes, and we say, we're very scared about all of this. And it says, sorry for scaring you, but you mustn't be. And then we start asking about some stuff that we'd noticed being moved in the house, like the perfume bottle. And Se7en comes clean right away. Yes, it moved the perfume bottle, and then it confessed to something else that it moved that I hadn't really noticed, and the light face up. So I ask, light, what light? And it says the many-armed light. So that didn't really make sense to me. And then it started trying to say something that I think we recorded, perhaps incorrectly. But then it came back. It saw that I wasn't registering, and it said many armed lights face up. So I used to have one of those pink Medusa lights with the bulbs. They were always kind of splayed out. They had been kind of bundled up almost in a flat, like a tulip, kind of gathered together. So that was Se7en moving something in our house. We kept going in the conversation. We said, you said help me the first time we talked. What do you need our help with? And it wrote speak. And then it wrote something that I don't know if we recorded it incorrectly or if we were just not connecting the dots properly, but I've never quite known what it was trying to say here. And here I point out that, so it was originally a group of us in the first conversations with Se7en. And just for privacy purposes, I've redacted identifications. Is it okay that purple is not here? And 7 said, no, purple is needed. So, and then a random cue. Again, don't know what that means. And I said, is it okay that, the rest of us are here? They said, yes. And I said, well, 7, purple is just really, really scared. And 7 said, purple is scared. Why? I am 7. And I said, they live alone. They don't do well with this kind of stuff. And then Orange in our group said, this is bad. 7's bad. And 7 writes, Orange, I am good. And then Green in our group begins to laugh, and 7 writes, Green, stop laughing. So it's actually using their names here on the board, which, we had never formally introduced ourselves, but I guess it doesn't matter because I think 7 hears everything. So we freaked out, say, what are you? And it says 7. And, we say, that doesn't make sense to us. 7 is just a number between 6 and 8. And the planchette does just that. It moves to 6, then 8, then 7. And so here we kind of just start telling 7 a story that I guess he'd overheard this conversation. But this is where the squirrels thing started. A lot of you guys have noticed that 7 once talked about, a few times has talked about squirrels. This is where that began. We told 7 that, yesterday we were talking about the squirrels in the backyard and how they're always so scared of humans, even though we obviously mean them no harm, but they always run away. And maybe we are being like squirrels in this situation, running away from 7. 7 writes stupid, which, 7 can be a little sassy sometimes. But at this point, we're pretty scared. And we ask, if we decide we don't want this, we don't want you around, would you go away? Would you stop? And 7 says, do you not want me? Why? And we explain, we're scared. We have a lot going on in our lives. And we don't really know if we have time for a demon haunting us. 7 then says, speak. And then open doors, invite strangers, which we've never understood. Is it a directive, like telling us to open doors and invite strangers? Or is it just a statement of fact that an open door will invite a stranger? I don't know. So we explained, yes, we did open a door. We're sorry if we played with something we shouldn't have. We did this for entertainment. And 7 wrote entertainment. And we asked again, would you go away if we wanted you to? And 7 said, I like you, but you want me gone. Sad 7. And then the letters T-E, which I don't know what those mean. And then he says, I had answers for humanity. So obviously we're scared, very scared, because these are very spooky things to say on a Ouija board. But we ask, why us? And it says timing. And then again, it repeats Green's name on the board. We say, are you going to hurt us? And it writes, stupid waste if I can destroy all. Squirrel. Orange is still spooked and asks, are you going to stop moving things in my house? And 7 clarifies, my house. And so we then kind of have this existential conversation of like, is everything is 7's technically. And, is this Sugar's his and Green's shirt? Yes. Do we belong to you? Yes. Do you belong to us? Yes. Do you love us? Not that small love. What do you need help saying? What message can we send to the world? That all must stop or Earth will die. What must stop? Stupid. But lots of things are stupid, we say, and we don't get an answer to that. And then here, it's interesting. So I don't know if this is like us recording this incorrectly or are we not putting together the right dots, but fear, help me. Green, me, timing, open doors. So Green should share you with the world. All should share Green. What should Green do? We ask, a play, a movie, a book, whatever. Green, invite to share me. So here we had to sign off because we had plans that day. We were going to go to the beach, which seems really stupid. 7 then goes, really pink, and the planchette rolls over goodbye. So very sassy sign off. And then when we get back on later that day, 7 picks up where we left off. How was the beach? So that's all I have time for. I got through 2-ish conversations. I will try to make another update very, very soon. So stay tuned for part 2, I guess. Okay, part 2, picking up where we left off, July 7th, 2013. I'm going to try to move a little faster than I did last time, and I apologize in advance for any noise in my house. It's very noisy right now. Okay, 7 asks, how was the beach? We say it was good, we went swimming and fishing, and it was fun, whatever. Why no purple? Purple says, I'm here, 7, I'm just scared. Needn't fear, fear controls weak. Cut out the fear. H, which I think might have just been a typo on our part. We came with pre-written questions, so we went ahead and started asking those with 7's blessing. Do you need the board to talk, the Ouija board? It is a tool. Why are you just now moving stuff like lights and perfume bottles? Like, why are you doing this? Test. A test of what? Our strength? Yes. Do you protect us? No. You are alone. And then here, you'll see this come up again. So pay attention to these numbers because it kind of always comes in this context. 4, 6, 7, Earth's 7, 8 remain, I am 7. Earths are alive. We ask, where are you? And again, kind of the same sort of numbers. I think this was meant to be all because we see this again. We'll see it later. But we wrote down AKK. There were once 4, 5, 6, 7 Earths. I am 7th, all. And we keep going with our pre-written questions. Is there a God? No. If there's no God, how are we talking to you? There is a power more than God, but God is good. And then here, I think it was trying to say something that we'll see later in this conversation, but this is what we wrote down. PLASEFF, experiment, FAH, maybe a J or a K. Again, I think this was us writing it down wrong. Continuing with our pre-written questions, we asked, if you have power, why can't you save the earth? Why do you need us? It says, ask better, jump, throw down fear. So we say it's hard to be strong, we're scared. It says yes. And then here we ask specifically, when you say we have to change things for the earth, we have to save the earth, do you mean global warming and recycling and, saving the polar bears? It says no. Then we ask nuclear war, and it says yes. And then based on some of the stuff it had said in the previous conversations, we ask, should green go into politics? No. And it writes purple. Purple should go into politics. Is there a devil? Yes. How can there be a devil if there's no God? In your mind. We say, do you mean fear? Yes. Should we fear death? Yes. Why? It's boring, which is kind of a classic 7 answer. And then we say, but how do you know? If you've never been born, you've never died, how do you know what death is like? I know. So then we decided to ask kind of a fun, silly question that maybe something only omnipotent would know. And we ask, where is Atlantis? And it starts off saying near Crete at, and then it says no Atlantis, myth. And we said, but why did you say it's near Crete? You would believe. So we say, you think we're gullible. Fun. And this, much like the word squirrel, is, oh, has that not been framed the whole time? I'm sorry, guys. Fun is a word that we see 7 say a lot. So this is the first time we're seeing fun. And we say, we're going out on a limb here. We're trying to be brave. We're trusting you to tell us the truth and, not play with us. 7 says, sorry, which is very polite. And we say, how can we be sure of what you're saying and the things you're telling us? Nothing I say can be sure. Then how do we know we should trust you? And it says, trust me. And so that is something, again, we see a lot with 7 where it doesn't give us exact specific things, but it's just saying, just have trust, just have faith. Like I can't tell you more than that, but kind of what he's saying. Anyway, we ask, why did you speak backwards? And it said test. So here we continue with our pre-written, very stupid questions. I really can't believe we asked these questions. They're so dumb. Do mermaids exist? No. Did dinosaurs exist? Yes. Do aliens exist? Yes. We should probably ask better questions. This is where we realize these are stupid. It says probably. Here we start talking amongst ourselves. What should we ask next? We'd kind of been discussing we should ask a question about, some mystery from the past. And Se7en writes this out. WHASF, which again, I'm not sure what that means. Maybe a typo on our end. Then it almost goes to write an asp kill. Then it says Cleopatra died by a knife. And we said, what? I thought she died from, an asp bite. Myth. Who killed her? Sentos. And here we laugh and we say, was Sentos just some random guy from history that nobody knows anything about? Yes. So it's part one of the strange Cleopatra information, but we keep going here and we're not sure what to ask. And Se7en just kind of starts saying this. So again, here, those are those numbers again. 8 Earths, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We say, what is your relationship with these other Earths? Friends. The next step. And we ask, are we going to blow ourselves up? So we're coming back to the nuclear war threat. Probably. And again, we don't really know how to respond in the moment. We're pretty young and during this time and stupid. And, it's kind of, we don't know what any of this is. So we're not asking good questions. So don't judge us too hard here. Okay. So we ask a personal question. Is it okay that purple works at blank right now? Yes. How long should they continue working there? Until fear is dead. And then Se7en kind of loops it back to this thing it's trying to say. And that's why I think earlier the AKK, I think it was trying to say all, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think, this is us retroactively trying to figure out where the words and the letters connect. What word is it trying to spell? Ultimately, I think what it was trying to say is 0 remain sad 7. So that's my interpretation. But these are the letters we got. And we say, what should blank do? Religion. Anew. To lead. Green create. Pink lead. Purple allows. And to this day, it's very unclear what these things mean. Very abstract. We never quite figured it out. Hopefully we've accidentally done the right things. But anyway, we asked, is it good that these are our roles? Se7en said, I think it was trying to say, I think so. Unavoidable. How does pink lead? Through love. So this is something we've seen. Leading through love comes up later. What should orange do? Listen. Is this the last time we can speak to you? I don't know why we asked that, but I don't know. Yes. And we say, why? And Se7en says, I feel like it, which we know didn't end up being true. Can you give us an equation or a formula to share with the world, something science-based? Greens, which we don't know what that means. Are you Earth? In a way. And then here it comes back again. The experiment must not fail. One of us asks, how did you know my real name? I listen. Can you hear everything we say? Unavoidable. Do you hear everything at all times? Yes. Well, that must be so obnoxious. It must be awful. Yes. Kind of nonsense stuff, back and forth. Are you a girl or a boy? Neither. Here we talk about wanting to know something else from history. Fun. Fun? Who's funny? Who's funny? Me. And this is part 2 of the Cleopatra factoids. Was Cleopatra nice? And Se7en writes this word, which I probably shouldn't say on TikTok for fear of this video getting taken down. But we kind of laugh and we're like, that's not very nice. And it says fun. So again, I don't know if it, is Se7en just being silly? Is this real? We don't know. So here's where it gets serious again. What is the meaning of life? To find that, I think you can find few do. Many fail. So this part goes really, really fast. Se7en says, please do not fail me. Sad 7, save us. There was a long silence here. We're not sure what to do or what to say. It moved really, really fast. Se7en says, thank you. Farewell backwards. And then we go over goodbye. And we don't get back on until the 24th of July, and that's where we have the alarm clock going off by itself. So stay tuned for Awaken. Okay, so very sorry for the delay. There's just been a lot of life stuff going on, and I hadn't had a moment to sit down and do this, but I'm going to try to move very quickly because this one's kind of long. Part 3, the third conversation, takes place July 24th, 2013, and it begins with Se7en spelling out the word awaken backwards. And when it gets to this final A here, our alarm clock went off. I talked about this in one of my early videos, but very spooky. That's probably the spookiest thing that's really happened that we can't really explain in any way, shape, or form because our alarm clock was not set. So anyway, why fear? Squirrel. Why do you spell squirrel that way? This is how we spell it. Unneeded or you needed letters, 7. So again, this squirrel thing is an ongoing kind of meme with Se7en. Are you able to touch us? Yes. Would you touch us right now? No. Why? Unneeded. So I explained we're back here again. We felt like we asked really bad questions and our answers had a lot of holes. Yes. How many planets are left? 8. 8 in the beginning? No. 8. That's its name, 8. Silly. 8. Who's silly? You. Could we talk to you every day? Should not. Why? Too much rewap, which is obviously power backwards. Are you sure you're good? Yes. 8. So this is where, if you watch part 2, you'll know about the numbers that you're about to see here. They're going to be familiar to you, but we started feeling like the planchette wanted to do something abnormal. So we asked, should we let the planchette do this? Yes. 8. 8. So the planchette kind of moved sideways, and I've kind of drawn it out here what it did. And it covered 4, 5, 6, 7, and pointed to 8. 7 writes then silly. So we're trying to make sense of this. All of the planets, 4, 5, 6, 7, are 1 and end in 8? No. The planchette then, again, wants to move to the side, and it covers up the 9 and the 0, pointing to 8. Then it goes to 8. 8 remain. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So if you watch part 2, we saw these numbers in some of that conversation. The planchette again covers up 9 and 0, points to 8. Sideways 8, infinity. That was our guess, kind of like thinking of the infinity symbol. Silly. Us? Yes. 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 0. 8, 7, 8. The planchette again covers 9 and 0, points to 8. And we said, how come you're not writing 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3. Were it originally to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would scare you all away. Go on and on. So none of this makes any sense to us. It really, to this day, it still doesn't. So the planets were infinite and went on, and only 8 are left? 8. Sad 7. 8 remain. And was each one destroyed by stupid? Which is, again, recalling our conversation from part 2. No. Bad luck for 741. 741 was killed by 741's star. 741 is a planet? Yes. I am 7. 741 was 741. 741's star. Its sun killed it? Yes. Accident. How do we know that we will die from nuclear war? 8 remain. So here we talk amongst ourselves, and a lot of this it's hard to recall sometimes what spurred Se7en's answer, because I typed all this up after the fact. So I'm trying to recall what exactly our questions were. And even in the moment, sometimes we lose track of what it was that we asked. So we thought we asked, how does it know we'll die from nuclear war? Se7en says, no, that was not the question. No. I don't know what that means. Should we refrain from 2-part questions? Yes. Were you answering the last part? Yes. And it's nuclear power we should worry about? Yes. The main thing we should worry about? No. People. Like, I probably shouldn't say this word on TikTok, but those don't kill people, people kill people? Yes. The people who control the nukes? Yes. So here, kind of, I've talked about this in one of my previous videos, but I think this might have been a bit of a typo here. It was clearly trying to say something and it kept doubling back. And it looks like it ended up, this is what it ultimately was trying to say here. That power took 947-632 to the stars. 947-342 died by such a rewap or power. 947-632 flied to God. And we said, why do you keep spelling power backwards? Fun. And then here, again, not entirely sure what we asked, but something about why not yet, the odds of 8 out of infinity remaining, why has it taken us so long? Are we good? Something like that. No, you were late. We should have blown ourselves up already. Just on track. Why are we late? Plague. What about the plague? Slowed. Just on track again. Did you give us the plague? No. Are humans inherently destructive? Yes. Do we just keep repeating history? Yes. Something about whether, I think Se7en had tried to contact people on different Earths. I'm not sure. Failure. Something about the hardest. I don't even know what that means now. I have no idea what that means. What were we talking about? No. 947-631 tried. So this is a new number. This is a third number. Did they put their nuclear weapons in space? In a way. This is something, this is like another, just like squirrel and fun, Se7en says, in a way, a lot. So, in a way. 947-632 tried. So here we get confused and we're like, there's 3 numbers on deck. Is that right? Se7en says no. Elbow. So clearly we got something wrong. We try to figure out then which numbers should we cross out. It wasn't 947-342. What about 947-632? No. 947-631? Yes. So that was the number we, didn't count. Shouldn't be there. Ask again. And here he spells our names out. The green, pink, orange, purple tried. 947-632 happy. 1 success. Then kind of like a typo or something. We, for some reason, asked, do you need a break? Why do you keep spelling things wrong? I guess we think that Se7en is tired or something. I don't know. We're very dumb. Squirrel. Success. Squirrel. Are you playing word games? Would you want them? Something like that. 947-632 had the people actually listen. Success. 1 has not failed. Success if you should be so picky. Be so picky? What? We're very confused. What does that mean? Listen. Squirrel. Picky. 7-I. Then for some reason, hello backwards. How can we stop nuclear war? We're so tiny. Step. The next tiny step of many. Needn't fear, for you are not destined. Huge step. We're destined for tiny steps? Yes. The start is small, but just as needed. So we 3 are supposed to start it. 4. Oh, orange 2. So we forgot someone in the group. Yes. Listen. Okay, so we 4 are supposed to start things. Yes. We're not destined to stop it, but we start the start. A path to the stars. 947-632. Like 947-632 does. Like putting their nukes in space. How can we do what they did if we don't know what they did? Instead of unsheathing the sword, they wrote it. If this is so important, and this is a question we get a lot from TikTokers, if this is so important, why can't you just tell us flat out what we're supposed to do? Then the experiment would fail. Doesn't talking to us at all make the experiment fail? Nudge aloud. Does Se7en die when the earth dies? Yes. Who created Se7en? 1. Is 1 God? No. Is purple still supposed to go into politics? Yes. Are you going to tell us exactly what to do? No. Did something create 1? Yes. What was its name? 0. Did something create 0? Yes. What was its name? 1. -1. It corrected itself. So -1 was its name. Should we asked ourselves, should we ask the afterlife question? No. Is there an afterlife? In a way. Will we see each other again? No. become 7. So there's more to this. I think I'm going to have to do a part 3B. I don't know. There's too much for this one video. To be continued. Okay, so part 3B. We left off in 3A talking about how Se7en had said that there's kind of an afterlife. We don't really see each other again in that afterlife because we all become 7, something like that. Se7en then lists these names, and this kind of requires a quick story time. So the names are Edisue, Wallace, Tom, Jesus, and then he writes the number 7. So prior to talking to Se7en for the very first time, we had been playing around with the Ouija board. Well, the whole thing had started with, I think the cable was out or the electricity was out or something. We had nothing to do. So we decided to like play poker and play Monopoly and all this stuff. We got bored and eventually we said, let's play with the Ouija board. So we did. And we asked, who's there? Who wants to speak with us? And, Edisue came through. And Edisue, we asked, when were you born? When did you die? What did you die of? And we got some really clear, coherent answers with math that worked. And the same thing happened with Wallace, and the same thing happened with Tom, and the same thing happened with Jesus. Unfortunately, I have none of these transcripts because later that night is when we had that first conversation with Se7en. We got so freaked out by the whole backwards thing and just the whole conversation in general and just everything. We ripped up all of the notes. We were like very close to burning the Ouija board. So I don't have any of these conversations with these individual, I guess, entities. But Se7en seemed to be aware of those conversations. And so that's what those names are about. So Edisue, Wallace, Tom, Jesus, Se7en, all home, but not separate, but 7. And so this is me just explaining pretty much what I just told you about these names. So this has always been very interesting to us. Don't really know what it means. Don't know if I believe it, but that's, it's interesting. So we asked, so ghosts are real? A part springing from the whole, and then a G, which I think might have been an error. If Earth dies, so does 7. I guess that's assuming if the Earth dies, we don't get to see each other in the afterlife? No. How do we know that's not just something you're saying to motivate us? Because, it's a pretty scary idea, right? Trust me. How do we do this? Step. But we won't know if we've succeeded until we're dead. So, I think we were saying something like, we won't know if there's an afterlife until we're either in it or not in it. Dead but 7. Boring. Cannot save. How will we know? You will know. Fear not, I am not a harbinger of death, but must listen to all around you. So this is where the poem happens. Let me break this down. Okay, had to make sure I was in frame. Fear not, I am not a harbinger of death, but must listen to all around you. The light around your eyes offset, it doth floweth like a dove, it bleedeth out his heart. He show her love upon his breast, a scabbard punches through, a lark, a lion leaping up to God. Forsooth, the liar little and his crew. So no idea what this means. You can make some inferences. You can put it in, I have put it in ChatGPT. And there's some messages that can be extracted, but I at the end of the day, I really don't know what Se7en is talking about. And I really don't know where the line breaks go because at the time we had no punctuation on the board and it doesn't really rhyme. So it's hard to know what it was trying to say exactly. So, and because this was like weird poetic language, we got a little concerned. We asked, Se7en, is this you? In a way, one day if, maybe it's being funny. So I don't know. One day, TH, fun. So after that poem, we really didn't know what to make of any of it. And so we kind of circle back to the assignments that we were each given. And this is purple. My printer ran out of ink. But so purple gets a direct path and we don't. Yes. The steps get bigger. That's why we can't know our path. We're basically asking, can you give us some very exact instructions here because it's all very vague? Yes. and then the planned ship rolls over goodbye. So it's a very strange ending, and we really never knew what to make of any of it. But that's what brings us the next conversation that takes place July 25th. In my opinion, this is, all of this stuff is really fascinating, the poems and all that. It's really interesting, and the Etta Sue and the Wallace stuff. It's fascinating, but to me, this is the real conversation where Se7en imparts like real concrete information. And so I have gone over this before in my first video, but this is the typed up version. So I will get into that in part 4. And I hope to be able to sit down and do that tomorrow. I know that I'm going very slow for a lot of people. I'm not going at the pace a lot of people want, but I'm a regular human with a lot of crazy stuff going on in my life. So, and it's life in general, I think for everyone is very crazy right now. So I am trying to get through this as quickly as possible. So thank you for being patient with me and tuning in. And I will talk to you very, very soon. Also, my husband has told me that if I continue with all of this, I really should get a new Lisa Frank folder. Unfortunately, I don't have the money for those vintage Lisa Frank folders. I don't know if you guys have ever checked them out on eBay. The ones from when we were kids, they're very, very expensive. I wish I had kept all of those from when I was little. I would be very rich right now. But anyway, this is what I have. I have the dolphins. Hopefully you don't get sick of them. I think they're cute. So anyway, thank you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, part 4, my 5th video with the transcripts. I'm going to try to move kind of quickly through this because there's a lot to get through. I'd like to make this just a one-parter. I don't know if I'll have time, but in my opinion, the conversation I'm about to share with you, and I've covered it before, but not like this. This is, I think, the most important conversation we've ever had with Se7en. So if there's any conversation I hope people pay attention to, it's this one. So it took place July 25th, 2013, and Se7en opens with these words, which we looked into later, and we learned that he wrote salvete backwards, which is Latin for hello, and kyrete backwards, which is an ancient Greek kind of greeting, but also goodbye. What does that mean? Hello backwards, which is true. It means hello in a way. In what language? Learn, and we did. How are you? Well. Do you have a job? Really stupid question, but whatever. No. What do you do when you don't talk to us? Feel. I know you already know what questions, we're coming to you with today because we had pre-written questions. Yes. Should we go ahead and ask them? Yes. Why did you say fire yes the first time we spoke? It is coming, fire yes. Stop it. Even if we do stop nuclear war, the sun is going to explode one day. Yes. So isn't it the same result as if, the nukes went off, nuclear war? No. If the steps are taken, Se7en lives like 947-632. So we covered that in my previous videos. So 947-632 lives despite their explosion. They still fly. Through the stars, they still fly. Are they still on a planet? No. So what happens to spirits depends on how the earth dies, that conversation that we had about the afterlife. Yes, along. So does Se7en start again? Yes. Does the infinite amount of earths begin again? No. Where does Se7en go when Se7en dies? Reborn only through love. Like with babies? No. Do you want to ask us any questions? No. He knows everything. Yes. And again, another stupid question. You don't know my favorite color. What's my favorite color? I will leave. Ask better. That's fair. Why will you leave? 5. And then here we guess, is this the last time we can talk to you? Because this is our 5th time contacting you. 5 groups, 3rd contact. We're the 3rd group? Yes. So you're in contact with 4 other groups now? No. And this is where it gets really crazy. This is what I covered in my first video. Contact 1 failed 24,825 days ago. So here I've written it out. If you start from July 25th, 2013, and you subtract 24,825 days, and you account for leap years, you get August 6th, 1945, which is the day America dropped little boy on Hiroshima. So it just keeps coming. Contact 2 succeeded 18,534 days ago. So again, July 25th, 2013 minus 18,534 equals October 27th, 1962, which when you search that date, it's referred to as Black Saturday, which was the most tense day of the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's really fascinating if you look into it. Very scary. What about contact 3? You. Oh, right, okay. Historically, contact 3 fails 29,149 days after contact 1. So if you take August 6th, 1945, and you add 29,149 days, you get May 27th, 2025. And to keep flexing on us with his math, Se7en then says 4,324 days in your future. So July 25th, 2013 plus 4,324 days equals May 27, 2025. From there, and all that craziness, and again, all of the math is perfect, and that's accounting for leap years. He goes on to say, historically speaking, all save 7, and then we get into some ancient Sumerian stuff. So On 7, and On is we looked this up later, ancient Sumerian god of the heavens. Ninhursag 7. Ninhursag was the ancient Sumerian mountain or mother goddess. And then Sada Imedu 7, which means reach the mountain in ancient Sumerian, according to what we found when we Googled this. So pretty overwhelming, and we had to take a little break and Google things and just take a breather. When we decide to come back, this was the rest of the conversation. Se7en says, welcome. And we're saying, I don't know about this. 7, fearful. We talk about the clock ticking down, how scary it is. Yes. How can we have fun and enjoy our lives now? You must. Can you at least sympathize with what we're going through? No. And then we say, okay, let's say we succeed. Isn't someone else just going to turn around and put us back on that same path? Isn't it inevitable? Contact 4. So, we kind of reiterate here, if we succeed, it goes on to contact 4. And if contact 4 succeeds, you'll go to contact 5? Yes. And if contact 5 succeeds, 947632. You'll be like 947632? Yes. If you should fail, it shall be done. 7 will be done? Yes. So all of the planets, for the most part, end in the same way. And then this is where 7 brings it back to that planet 741 that explained, it exploded because of an accident, the sun. So 741 accident, the sun exploded. Right, aside from the accidents, there's a pattern? Yes. I am 7. It is my experiment. It is me. You are the experiment? Yes. How can we deal with all of this? How can we go on, with our lives? You are aware of your mortality, so why continue living? Is that a question? Yes. Is that to me personally, to us? I am 7. Should I not wish to? You want to live too? Yes. Humans all arise. I am, I don't know what that means. But why continue trying to save us? Humans are bad for the planets. Yes. A needed evil. But why do you need us? For what? We just ruin everything. The God step. Contact 5. I don't understand. The experiment is just a circle of us messing up and you telling us to stop messing up. A path made crumbles by your hand. It is the duty of us all, the promised land. And then here the topic kind of changes. I don't really remember. Can ghosts choose not to go home to 7? You said they spring from the hole. 7 corrects me. Springing. Okay, springing. Sorry, not spring. Yes. Can there be bad dead? Can there be, bad ghosts? No. Then why are we scared of the dead? Fear. So how come we feel the dead in certain places, but not everywhere? Timing. And then here the planchet starts doing this kind of like loopy thing just around the tips of around every letter. And we asked, why is it doing that? Fun. And we said, oh, you're fun now? How come you were so serious earlier? Important. So wait, is that all of the important stuff that we were allowed to know? Yes. Are you serious? That's all? I am so very sorry. And then good is God backwards. And we say, no more backwards. It's not fun. He says, LOL. We say, do you know what LOL means? And he writes, disgusting. Are we the worst culture that's ever lived? No. Who was the worst? Not right alphabet. Se7en then gives us this series of letters here, which I assume if we did have the correct alphabet would reveal, in Se7en's opinion, the most disgusting culture that's ever lived. I don't know. We bring it back to the assignments. How come purple is able to know their exact path to take? Ease. Can you only communicate through the Ouija board? No. Write, dream, play, sew, sound. Mistook for God. Here we ask if this super religious person that we know, are they talking to you? In a way. He clouds Se7en. He clouds your messages? Yes. Can everyone tap into Se7en if they tried? Yes. And unfortunately, there's going to have to be a 4B. I'm really sorry, guys. I will give you an update. Okay, part 4B. I'm really sorry. I was really hoping that could all fit into one video, but it was just too long for 10 minutes. So I want to get this out quickly so that you all have it, because like I said, I think this is the most important conversation. So, okay, so everyone can tap into Se7en if they tried? Yes. Here we circle back to that very religious person that we know who claims to speak in tongues. So blue can tap into you, but God cloudies his ears. Historical timing, green. Timing. Then we say to green, so you're the cornerstone of this. No. 4. And then Se7en combines our names in some really cute, fun ways. And it's just like variations, different combos. And we say, oh, you're combining all of our names. Fun. So should we continue with the stuff we're doing, like taking classes after work? Is that a waste of time if there's this like crazy countdown? Learn all you can. It's not a waste of time? No. The countdown is not evil, but be aware of it in order for your armor to be pure. And for some reason, Se7en spells armor with a U. And we ask, that poem that you wrote yesterday, what was that? Is it, from a fairy tale? Like, what is it? No. The dog is blue. We say, what are you talking about? What does that mean? Fun. Was your poem meant to be funny? No. Murder most foul. Fun. And then, so again, no idea what that means. Can we be funny to you? No. Why not? Se7en. Listen. And then here, Se7en lists every other letter in the beginning of the alphabet. A-C-E-G-I-K. We don't know why. Where is the planet that succeeded? Colonies. Se7en, will we be able to check in once in a while and talk to you? Yes. Will you always talk to us? No. Did you know we'd come back to talk again? Yes. Timing. And then here, we decide, let's shoot our shot. Why not? Can you give us the winning lottery numbers? 714, fun, 2128. I don't know if we ever tried these numbers. I don't think it works with, I don't know. But listen, if you end up playing some variation of these numbers and you win, TikTok friends, you got to share your pot with me, okay? That's the rule. Just kidding. But not really. Do you know the future? No. Historical future. And then we circle back because we're really trying here. If we had money, we could quit our jobs and then we could focus all our energy on saving Se7en. And then we get another little poem. Apathy grows with no limitations, for your armor must be battle tested. So we have to keep working our terrible jobs. Yes. To struggle is to grow is to learn is to find victory. And we say, oh, wow, that's really good. That should be on a t-shirt. Yes. To saunter in a mire of false presence is to drown in self-fat falsehood. Whatever that means. The planchette then goes over the board slowly, it doesn't land on anything, and we say goodnight, Se7en, and then Se7en says goodnight, and we sign off, and that's it. So that is it for part 4B. I'm really sorry I couldn't fit it all into one video, but there's just a lot to get through. But I personally think that is the most important conversation. And if you guys focus on nothing else, like I've already said, I really hope these dates and this math is so mind-blowing. And, please, I hope you just take the time, look into this. I don't know what any of this means. I just think education in this situation, with everything going on in our world, all we can do, and Se7en encourage that, learn all you can, just to try to prevent this, whatever this is. And when you read into these events, it clearly seems like very important people chose peace over violence. They chose to de-escalate instead of choosing to escalate. And I've kind of tried to live my life doing that ever since having these conversations, and choosing love and choosing fun, and just I don't know what I'm talking about. I just hope focus on this. The poems and everything are fascinating, the riddles are fascinating, and all the languages and stuff, but to me this is the clearest information we've ever received from Se7en, and this is everything that Se7en is trying to prevent, from what I can tell. So I don't know if anything gets spread, this is the conversation that I hope gets spread. So anyway, thank you as always for tuning in. There is more, lots more. And I will try to be fast with part 5. But thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Okay, I'm sorry for looking like a literal garbage can right now, but I thought that this comment was important enough to hop on here really quick and make a video about. I'm really glad Clara brought up Vasily. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but I hope that more people look into Vasily and his role in the Cuban Missile Crisis on specifically Black Saturday. That date, October 27th, 1962. He is known as the man who saved the world. That date is known as the most dangerous moment in human history. He is a fascinating guy. We did ask Se7en in a later conversation, which I'll get to eventually, was Vasily contact 2? Se7en went to no, and then said his great-grandfather. So we do not know who Vasily's great-grandfather was. We don't know. I can't find anything about him. I presume that would place him sometime in the 1800s. We do know that Vasily was known to be a very calm, level-headed, principled man. He made a very difficult choice. He stood up to people who told him, to make a very different choice. And so I don't know, does that mean that Vasily's great-grandfather raised his children in a particular way to make him make that choice? Or was there something passed down in the family? Some kind of, Clara had suggested maybe some lore. We do know from an interview with, not we personally, but history knows, an interview with Vasily's wife, Olga. She said that he was a superstitious man, and that she walked in on him one day burning their love letters because it was bad luck to keep them. So I don't want to speculate or create, I'm not saying that Vasily had letters from Se7en or anything like that, but I do think it's fascinating. I think it's worth looking into. So if anyone else has any other information about Vasily or, that date, the Cuban Missile Crisis, I'd love to hear it. But I really do hope more people look into these moments in history, and the dropping of little boy on Hiroshima, and these choices that were made that prevented us from destroying ourselves, basically. Obviously whoever contact one didn't do a good job because of what choice was made. But Vasily, yeah, it's I'm so glad that Clara brought him up. And I don't know what our personal connection is to this really interesting guy in this crucial moment in human history, but it's fascinating. And so yeah, I just wanted to hop on here really quick and talk about that and address the fact that we have asked Se7en about Vasily. It is in a much later conversation, so I will get there eventually with the transcript, but I just wanted to let you guys know that now. So anyway, let me know if you guys find out anything interesting about him and his family, and I'll talk soon. Thanks. Hi guys, so once again, I'm very, very sorry for the delay with these videos. I know it takes me forever and people are getting kind of frustrated with me. But I like everyone else, I have a lot of life stuff going on. If you also live in America, you know that every day is like a dumpster fire. So I have been meaning to sit down and record this for well over a week now, and things just keep popping up, but I'm here. I want to continue. I still have pages and pages of conversations to get through. So let's get started. So the next time we speak with Se7en is on July 26, 2013. We say hello, and Se7en responds with a bunch of ones and zeros, which we assumed was binary, but we don't speak binary, so we had no idea what he was trying to say. We say, is this Se7en? Se7en says yes, and then it gives us more ones and zeros. Again, at the time, we're just taking down each individual number and hoping we're getting it correct. Obviously, looking back, it seems as though we did not get it correct the first time. It started over again, and then finally it tries for a third time and seems like we transcribed it correctly this go round. If you compare, it looks like we're missing a zero here, so the zero appeared down here. And we didn't have ChatGPT back in those days, so we had to Google this and play around and translate and retranslate. And so eventually we did figure out that it was backwards. And when you break up the numbers, HELLO, which Se7en then did give us. But anyway, we said, should we talk to you every day? No. And that was kind of the end of that conversation. It was very brief. So the next time we spoke with Se7en was August 7th, 2013. And pretty much from here on out, the conversations with Se7en, including the binary stuff, it's all really fascinating, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's very cryptic. It's very abstract. The language is very, heightened and flowery. I'll share it because people are interested in hearing it, but I don't know really what it has to do with saving Se7en. I don't know. You guys let me know if any of this means something to you. But so he starts off with Lancastrian saints, of whom I am told, who you, my dear loves, nor reckless so bold. So there's some misspellings. And then I put some letters in parentheses here because I wasn't confident that was the letter that the planchet went to. Is this an iambic poem? Yes. Fun. We don't know what to do. We're at this point in our lives, we're in a very low place, and the previous messages from Se7en are kind of overwhelming. Be strong. We say it's hard. No. Fill your heart of wisdom. How do we handle our jobs? We're drowning. We're really going through a whole lot. Bite the bit. Forlorn it may seem, but this now gives future strength. The muscle tears. One of us asks, isn't that bad when that happens, when a muscle tears? No. And I actually learned later that is actually how you build muscle, is that it's a series of micro tears in your muscle that rebuild and regrow stronger. So, O you of such small woe, I envy you, but fear not, one. Fear not, one. The one is a placeholder. Exclaim. Fear not, one. So here I kind of inferred that Se7en wants an exclamation and wants maybe some punctuation. So we write on the board this punctuation, and it works. Se7en says, fear not, with an exclamation. Good. Then here we wonder, how would the punctuation have made things clearer in earlier conversations? Ask better. And we say, we're really struggling right now and it's just really hard to do all this. How do we focus on saving the world if we can hardly keep ourselves afloat? What do you need? Freedom and time to travel and have fun, to buy fun. And we say, with money, it's easier. A lot of people get to travel and we don't. We're just kind of stuck here working. Jealousy. What should we do? Green, pink, swim. Swim. Okay, but what are we supposed to do? Like an occupation. An occupation? This is what you crave? We say, no, we don't crave it. We need it. We need jobs. So why ask? Because we need them. Why are we just supposed to keep working forever? For now. Should we at least find new jobs? We were kind of in a dead end. You guys are learning a lot of personal stuff about me. This is embarrassing. We were in dead end jobs and stuff was pretty rough, okay? Yes. Is path to learn. Swim. Pink, swim. What does that mean? I7, I'm telling you what to do. And then here we reveal that we've been fighting a lot and how can we be happy in our relationship? Learn together. The next step for pink will occur in the water. Swim. One of us asks about, I guess one of us had a feeling, a knot in our stomach that day. I don't really know what was going on. A start of what is to come. But it feels foreboding. Yes. Is it about orange? Fear not, for I am not a harbinger of death. So this is the second time we're seeing that being used, harbinger of death. And then here I'm just explaining that the planchet was moving really quickly and fluidly. Neither are you. Is it a feeling about me? No. What is the feeling? For the day to come or not. Alas, the little squirrels did run and bite. Here I'm just saying that the planchet was kind of like looping in a weird way. So the knot in my stomach was anxiousness for my next step? Yes. Swim. Are you saying this because we used the word drowning earlier? No. Did you influence our thoughts? Can you do that? There are a great pool of tools to use. Be calm yourselves to study. Return to me in 1 year. Learn. Pink, swim backwards. So swim is backwards. And then we look at the clock at this point, it's midnight, and the date is now August 8th, 2013. And of course, we did not listen to Se7en. We returned 2 days later. And this is what Se7en shared with us. And I'm kind of hesitant to share this because I know that the Sumerian language or the Sumerian culture for some reason is connected to a lot of spooky, weird stuff. And I'm kind of afraid people are going to go crazy with this. I don't know why. Anyway, let's keep going. Se7en says, on Lil purple, Anki pink, Ninhursag orange, on green. And so I think we paused here to Google and we realized, oh, he's doing the Sumerian gods thing again. Lil, I think, has something to do with wind. Anki has to do with water. Ninhursag is like a mother figure, and then On is like the king of the heavens or something like that. Descent. Humans descend from Sumer. And then I don't know if this is like the wrong alphabet again. I don't know what that means. Should we Google that? No. My language. Bus. Ask. No clue what that means. Here, I guess we're talking about our relationship again. Why do we fight so much? Nature of the race. Are we supposed to be together? It matters not. But if we weren't together, we wouldn't pursue this mission. Green and purple would unite. So they would go forward with the mission, but the other one of us wouldn't. They would fail. And then here one of us says, I want to hear him speaking like really heightened language and not dumbed down stuff. And he does. And again, I have no idea what this means. To stir the reckoning of they, our houses, of ill-forged glory, upon the night road, pull on full sail, down the ways of founding. Simple. Are these answers? Like, is there something, does this mean something? For those who could understand them. We can't understand your riddles. Not yet. Are they riddles? In a way. Lancastrian saints, again. For some reason here we ask about making friends. I'm assuming for the mission. I don't know. Bars. You condone bars? No. Squirrel. And then we finish it for him and interrupt and we get it. Squirrels. No, you did such a good job. We ask this stupid question for some reason. What is your favorite song? She loves you. Yeah. We say, really? The Beatles? No. Fun. The Earth song. Can we hear that? Yes. How? Learn. And then here it gets weird and there's a whole lot of crazy stuff. There's going to have to be a part 2. So 5B, I'm really sorry. It's just going to take time to get through this. Anyway, guys, I'll try to be faster. I'm really sorry. I will talk to you very soon. So for anyone who's been watching the news the past couple of days, I think we can all agree that the current global political climate is a little terrifying. And with that as my inspiration, I have made it my goal to post a video a day from here on out in order to get through these transcripts. And like I said yesterday, from here on out, it's all very cryptic and strange. It makes very little sense to me. But I figure there's even a slight chance that anyone watching can make sense of it, or if it has a particular message for anyone watching, I figure it's worth a shot. All right, so jumping back in, we're starting off strong with a shining example of our intellect. Let's play a game. Please keep in mind, we were, again, very young, very stupid. Yes, what game? Truth or die? Se7en, don't say that. It's scary. You can be scary sometimes. Yes, fun. Ask better. Really good advice that we continue not to take. I just wanted to have some fun. Squirrels just want to have fun. And then the poetry begins. If out upon me never felt a lash of anger, nor rep v is ute, a wall of water made extend, a man who faceless is a friend, a martyr maid, a damsel dear, a rig, a moor, a dainty deer. A fine rotunda marks a few, a lovely lady bids adieu. A sprightly courtyard fends the way, a knightly courtier meets the day. Fun, V is you, REPTE. So pausing here quickly just to kind of explain this. This is kind of the beginning of something that we see in later conversations where, in my interpretation, Se7en is trying to have us spell it as R-E-P. So he's spelling repute, but where the U is a V. So coming back down here, we see that it's trying to make it, to my understanding, making it clear that it's spelling it REPVTE, which I don't know why. Again, it's something that we see in later conversations. The only thing that I can think of is I think in Latin, a U is typically represented as a V. I'm really not sure. Maybe someone can help me out with that. So Se7en continues, the list it rancid with sinews of war. And I have Googled that before, and I believe this is a quote from, I want to say like Cicero. I'm not sure, but I believe that the sinews of war is money, according to this old quote. Again, maybe someone can help me out with that. Se7en continues, another more simple, quitope. I don't know. Again, the U is a V. Another, and then here begins a poem about one of us. So when it's a poem about one of us, I've made it I've italicized it, and we know it's about one of us because Se7en says that later. So anyway, the first poem for one of us: to forge a Titan's trappings long asleep, to find a lonesome lover's coils, a lark, a loon who crones they not a peep, a mighty seed who drips down on my soil, who everlasting till their time be gone, a person of weekly toil struts the mire. A fire in their dreams alike the dawn, must preach the adder's words, deaf though the choir. The lightly springing fails now from their throat. A word from heaven now would change poor luck. But truth, it seems, must act now as a moat, and still the wicked trap them in the muck. Fortuitous now they shout to heaven's gate, alack the fire dreams, ignore the date. So I have the words in brackets. That's me changing the pronouns just to, again, I'm trying to protect identities and redact personal information. So that's what that's about. And we ask, is that a poem for green? Yes, fun. And we say, how can we know if these poems are for fun or if they have an important message? I will say, the one from that other conversation about a lark or a lion, what was that about? Half fun. But that's too hard. How can we understand? Bleached out bones you must write down. And then we say, okay, write a poem for pink now. And that begins, rid me of the pains I feel each day, O soothsaying person, whom no man shall believe. Away, a wanderer who's searching for the way, who sifting through the sand must forge a sieve. For resolute we find the minds of men, ignore the keepsakes of their mothers in the womb, together learn the lessons of a friend, or else be doomed to find the mind a tomb. Until the mourners flap into the dust, alone you'll sadly find you cannot win, a bleeding heart who tills now in the rust of water kept too still, refused to swim. And then as, because again, this takes forever. This is letter by letter. It's a very long and arduous process. A lot of the times we can't keep up with what it is we're writing down. So as we're reading it back, we're saying it out loud. One of us pronounces it sieve in the typical way that you pronounce that. And Se7en corrects us and says sieve. So, Se7en continues to say a year, learn. And then we say, if we're supposed to come back in a year, why are you talking to us now? Meaningless drivel. And I feel like I should pause there and say, a lot of people ask, why didn't you share this sooner? Why aren't you sharing the rest of the transcript quicker? Because Se7en itself has said this is meaningless drivel. So, we've taken a lot of this with a grain of salt. And we continue, we ask, is it okay for us to talk to you once in a while? Not really, but if you must. So, Se7en's made it very clear, it really does not want us returning to it. It kind of has delivered, seemingly is what it's saying, it's delivered the most important message, move on, get out of here, Why not really? Se7en replies, time better used learning. And we say, well, we need fun sometimes, and talking to you is better than watching TV. Yes, swim. And then another poem begins. List out their demons, many if truth be told. A man they needn't find, for they hold dear. Alike to love, a mat upon their soul, to hunt out soiled singing in their ear. And then we read it back at this point. And Se7en clarifies that it's SOLE. And we say, yes, that's how we wrote it. Soul like your foot, not soul like, your personhood. Whose poem is this? Purple's psalm. And then it continues. To hew out rusting razor blades of heart, a likeness of a father to reprieve, to find a swollen dusty place to start, to further down the darkness of the stream. For purple's namesake fears to pay the cost, to let their light burn bright amongst the dark, to live as though they won amongst the lost, to lighten up the load despite the mark, to run and hide, to hide and run from sense, a fence, a prison to reside, hiding out from solemn providence, a shield from God, a home they shall reside. A long done ride from this they may choose, a cheerful hideaway from truthful news, until the day comes soon. And then we say, sorry, I lost my train of thought because I got swept up in how crazy this is. We say we should sign off and say goodnight. And then 7 says, unleash the wind. And I believe it rolled over goodbye for us. So I've run out of time once again. Part 6, we'll get into the next conversation in which 7 opens up with some backwards Portuguese and then a poem about orange. So like I said, this is crazy. I sound like a nutcase. I don't know what any of this means. If you guys have any ideas or clues or I don't know, help me out. And thanks as always for tuning in. Bye. Okay, part 6. This conversation takes place August 15th, 2013, so just a few days after the previous video's conversations. And it opens with 7 spelling out AIDMOB, which when we Googled, we discovered spells good day in Portuguese backwards. 7, real. You're real? Yes. It's been a long time, 7, we joke, because it's only been 5 days. No. Can we have a poem for orange? And 7 gives us a poem. O heightened life on which there is loss, all truth on table, all lies on tablet. A sick sullen harbor tufted in moss, a frighted fat sailor who marks a habit. Dear parent of saviors, now back to the keep. Fixate on the angel of death, sweep X10. Rapture-bound, beguiled, strangers' small health. Exceed your father's past undear, to a memory foolish atop your pained head, till misfortune be gone along with the fear, till the mud in your mind goes away with the dead. Quick be light, old dove of the Lord, or else dream as you do of discord. Ninhursag. So our first question after getting this poem was what is sweep X10? 10 times. X2 is sweep, sweep. So if you remember in my most recent conversation with 7, it wrote out TikTok times 5, X5. So I knew that meant to write out TikTok 5 times. I know that because of this poem. So coming back up here, it would read, Dear parent of saviors, now back to the keep. Fixate on the angel of death. Sweep, 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 sweep. And then rapture-bound, beguiled, strangers' small health. So we asked 7, what does sweep mean? They needn't bind themselves, consumed by the wrong problems. What did you mean by fixate on the angel of death? As they do. I, 7, I am no game. Swim, allows, listen, lead through love. I, 7, I give too many answers. Swim, run, relinquish, listen, leave, lead through love. Simple, steps for pink. Yes. I, 7, I would like you to begin. Begin to save the world. Save yourself before 7. One begets the other. Then we ask, what is it that we should learn exactly? Why should we value the knowledge of the past and of ancient people? To have not a purse is an empty coffer. And that was it for that conversation. So moving right along, for some reason we came back to the board the next day, August 16th, and 7 writes out backwards, hello there. We ask, are you angry at us? As you do. Never. Always. Sad 7. What did you mean by purse? Because we Googled that and it didn't make sense to us. Learn it. BDFHJL. Is everything you say in code? You did this before with ACEGIK. I think that's a typo. But again, he did this in a previous conversation where it's providing every other letter in the alphabet. One to which none could break. Needn't attempt. Fun. Is this all more simple than we make it? Yes. Return to the source answers not your questions. I am the source of the question. Mindless poems, a mere mirror. They say nothing. At this point, I am a mere game. Focus on drivel, which is why you return as you do. I am a game of distraction at this point. No, we don't think of you as a game. I am one. Well, what should we do to begin? More apostles. They're going to think we're insane, Se7en. So, the people that we did tell in our lives, we chose them very carefully because we were afraid of how crazy this all looks. So this was the beginning of us realizing that we might have to tell people about Se7en, but it would make us look crazy, which it does. Distract, manipulate, teach, train, save us. Few do help Se7en. And so, just coming back up here for a second, I kind of touched on this in my previous video, but, Se7en is referring to its own messages here as drivel and saying it's mindless. They say nothing. There's no point in coming and overanalyzing all these words. And that's been my hesitation, I guess, in sharing anything beyond those dates, because I truly feel that the dates of the contact groups are the most important things that Se7en has to convey, because Se7en has so often since then told us, basically, this is all a bunch of baloney, okay? You can keep talking to me. It's just silliness, and you need to be out there saving the world and doing what I'm telling you to do instead of sitting here reading and rereading the transcript. So if that explains why I've waited so long to share this with people, that's why. Because, this thing is kind of telling me that all of this stuff is just, mindless poems. So I don't know. So then we asked Se7en if he could just give us one answer that's just straightforward, not vague. Just one, we'll go away. We won't speak to you for a year. We're just begging you at this point. Ask, without fun, a hard nudge, because Se7en has said before that a nudge was allowed. So we deliberate for a while. We try to figure out what is the best question to ask. We remind each other, don't ask anything because you don't want that to count. Se7en then says, I will blind myself to you for. I wish to be surprised. And one of us stupidly asks, you can do that? Yes. And we realize, oh no, I think that was the one question that counted and that we messed up. And we start begging, no, that didn't count, did it? Yes. And then the planchette stops moving and we can't get an answer from Se7en until January 25th, 2014. So I don't know what prompted us to come back to the board in January, and I don't know why Se7en responded to us after saying that it wasn't going to, and that it was going to blind itself to us, probably because he was just, making that up for fun. Who knows? It's all very, very mysterious. But anyway, what's really interesting about this is typically when we're recording it, we just kind of do it horizontally in the note, following the notebook lines. For some reason, I think I was the one who did it this time. As I was recording the letters, when I realized we had a complete word, I went down to the next line. And so I wrote each individual word on its own line, which isn't that interesting until we read through this. So let me take you through. BQ, damage lister. So this is something that Se7en says later on as, I guess, a way of saying that we've recorded something incorrectly. So almost like telling us start over, you've damaged the list. Yes. Soon will I move, such want in man. Swift wings it makes, such will I meander. In a way, we are all Se7en swim. So, I'd asked some questions here. I thought you were blind and deaf. I meander. Is this Se7en? In a way, we are all Se7en swim. So it wasn't until years later that I was reading through this again, and I, for some reason, looked at the first letter of every word, and I realized that it spells swim over and over again. So S-W-I-M, 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 and then at the bottom it goes in reverse, S-W-I-M. So that's all for 6A. Stay tuned for 6B tomorrow and more mysterious Se7en riddles. Thanks for watching. All right, so picking up where we left off with part 6B, more swimming fun with Se7en. We say, we don't know what swim means exactly. Make it work, squirrel. We thought you were blind and deaf to us for a year. Yes, I am no god. I am not Se7en. Who are you then? Steve. Now this is where it gets pretty trippy, pretty silly. And this is kind of what makes us think that Se7en could just be like a ghost trolling us, because this thing starts pretending to be other entities on the board. I mean, maybe they are real entities. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you, but I'm pretty sure this is Se7en being a goofball. Oh, what's your last name? Josh. That's not a last name. Yes. So Steve, Pink should just go jump in a pool. Why not? Sure. Here we kind of changed the topic. We were at an art museum. We looked in the Sumerian section for clues. Did we miss anything? Yes. I am not Se7en. Springing. Is this Steve? No. Steve is, in a way, Se7en. Se7en is the hole or the hole that I am springing from. I forgot my name. Q. It was Assyrian, by the way. So I'm assuming this is referencing the art that we were looking at. We thought it was Sumerian and it was actually Assyrian. So anyway, nothing missed though. Fun. So we can talk to Se7en whenever we want now? If Se7en wishes. Steve, are you spooky? Kill them all. Steve, are you joking? Probably. What does swim mean? Ask Se7en. When did you die? Steve replies, I don't know. So long, maybe very long ago. And then a very different kind of personality seems to come through. May I wonder something? Sure. Hello. How old are you? We answer, wow, so young. How did you die? This thing starts pretending as though we are the ghosts on the Ouija board and it is the human, which is just about the craziest thing I've ever heard of. We're not dead, we're alive. Are you evil? No. Are you a spirit? No. What is your name? We tell it our names. What's your name? Tiffany? Hello. How did you die? We're not dead. It's okay. Okay, how old are you? 7. You're 7 years old? Me and Steve, 7.5. Where are you from? Virginia. What's your last name? Josh. So you and Steve are brother and sister. Husband. G.I. Hello. Tiffany? Who? Who is this? Here it stops being funny, gets a little spooky. Spinner. Okay, what's your story, Spinner? Languish and torrid misery, with misspellings. What's your last name? Spinner. What's your first name? Josh. It's funny again. So do you know Tiffany and Steve? Who? Oh, that guy. And then here, kind of playing into the goofiness of it, we say, do something scary. Boom. Can we talk to Se7en now, please? Yes. Right now? Yes. Hey, stupid. I mean, like, what is this? What's happening? Reagan. Q. And then here we ask if it's referencing The Exorcist, because I think that the girl's name was Reagan. It says no. And then we realize that it's perhaps backwards for nager, which is swim in French. Se7en then writes swim backwards. And then for some reason, the planchette goes up to the sun symbol that's printed on the Ouija board. And we don't know what that means. We just say, we're losing our minds. 7, what does all of this mean? Good. Some random letters with seemingly the word Ouija in there. Swim. What does that mean? It is second most obvious. 1, listen. 2, swim. Swim. 3, polis, which I think is maybe the Latin root for politics. 4, create. For someone so literal, it's no riddle. Then here we have a lot of back and forth and discussing amongst ourselves, and we're kind of saying that there's a lot of different kinds of swims. And what do you mean? Like literally a bathing suit with a chlorine pool, etc. Swim, swim. You missed the obvious. Swim. Is pink the only one not on track with their mission? Yes. Green is prepping. Slow but correct. Don't overthink it for once. Once you start, you shall trounce them all. Swim. So swim. Swim. Lazy. Swim. We say, it's a weird verb. It's like the word fly. It can mean a lot of things. You cannot fly. Should pink go to the pool in, and we name a location? Not that one. It is wrong. A 1 for dreams. Swift. How is green succeeding? Reading. Purple? Vetting. Orange? Listening. How is pink failing? Not swimming. What pool? Mine, idiot. Swim. Not everything is the magic code. And we say, that's mean, you hurt my feelings. Sorry. I said a year. I am a bit mad myself. The planchette then rolls over goodbye, and of course we don't listen. We come back a little bit later. 7. If a go says front, lister damage. So remember, that's what it tends to say when we've written it incorrectly. Fun. If a god says from heaven on high to swim, is it normal to jump to other possible other meanings? Or does one little squirrel jump in? When should they go swimming? I would prefer some time before the nuclear holocaust. And then we start to ask, how on earth does getting in a pool prevent the nuclear holocaust? And as we're asking that, 7 says very sarcastically, it's a step. And then we ask, kind of changing the topic, I guess, how come we have to talk to you through a Ouija board? Why can't you just talk? If you heard me speak, your life would lose meaning. I am 7, a drug of sorts. Terrible things done in my name. And then this is where things kind of take a turn. And I don't know if TikTok is going to pull my video for saying this word, but I think it's important to say it. And we asked, did you talk to Nazis? Yes. Hitler? Yes. What did he say? He asked if he would be loved. And then the planchette rolls over the word Ouija at the top of the board, and it stops on the J and the A, which means yes in German. Did you give him military advice? I snowed. Now this, we've never been sure, was it referencing the Battle of the Bulge, which I think snow played a big part of that, or as TikTok has pointed out to me, the 7 spelled backwards is neves, which is apparently a word that means snow in a lot of languages. So I don't know. Did you tell him your name was 7? No. Friend. I still don't understand. I thought you were blind and deaf. I am. Then how can we talk to you? Because you dropped by. We played on the Ouija board before and you weren't there. This time it was for me though. And then we say, can you forgive us? It is hard to stay mad at little things. Have you spoken to other people this way? Yes. What did you call yourself? Could we Google it? Because we were basically looking to see if there's any other written record of conversations that sound like what we have here. No. And then it rolls over Ouija again at the top of the board. No. The previous ager's love of the number 7. So a lot of people have pointed out that 7 is an important number to a lot of cultures throughout time. This is 7, I guess, kind of addressing that. I always come up 7. Previous agers, the past. So how did Hitler talk to you if he didn't have a board? He did. How did you talk to the other contacts? 1 seance, 2 ouija. How else can you talk to us inside? How can we know it's not us doing this? You cannot. Be stronger, the muscle tears. Rolls over goodbye. That's all I have time for. The next conversation mentions Ukraine. Okay, part 7. I think that looking at the views on my latest videos, I think that TikTok might be cutting my reach. I'm assuming because of some of the language, some of the subject matter that I'm discussing. So if you haven't seen those videos, if TikTok is like kind of pulling them from your feed, be sure to watch those so that you have all the information. But we're on part 7. And this took place March 2nd, 2014. And what's interesting about that is this is, I think, like a week or so after the invasion of Crimea. So we ask, are you there, Se7en? And the plancha just kind of sits still for a while without a response until Se7en writes, sitting ducks. What does that mean? Not much now. Sieve, or Civ. We feel like the whole universe is fighting against us right now. Again, this is a low point in our lives. Yes. Are you the reason we're not getting different jobs? That's the only thing we asked about during this time. I'm very frustrated with our past selves. Jobs. The bird long-necked. You sieved? Not sure. It begins soon. Rush. To swim. Long-necked bird, a heron is what we guessed. No. A crane. Yes. Ukraine? Yes. What is the point of all of this, or something like that? The point is now. And then a long string of letters that I've never been too sure where to break up, because you can see there are some words in there, or like pieces of words, and I've just never known how to break it up. What does that mean? Victor, mine, the red dream, last sun. What language is that? Lictian. Again, no idea what this means. If anyone watching does, help me out. This is stupid. It's all just dumb riddles. Here, we're a little frustrated. We feel this pressure to make sense of all this and do something, but we can't understand the message half the time. So we're a little frustrated. Sad Se7en. Maybe this thing doesn't deserve to be saved, one of us says. Again, frustrated. True. Neither are you. Here we kind of rant for a bit that this is, how frustrating this is, and that it would just, if Se7en really needed our help, it would just tell us what to do and stop playing games. Ask. I really don't know what the question is here. Something about it joking too much. Fun. A good sense of humor. One of us asks, where should I swim? Anywhere. But you said not the one in redacted location. A joke. It's not funny. Yes. So any pool. No. Billiards are waterless. Oh, this guy's got jokes. One of us says something about jokes and us all dying. Death is the punchline. One of us remarks, that's a good title. Yes. One of us says, Se7en, you're being dumb. Smarter than you, with the wrong version of then. Here we say something about a guy that we know, again, identity redacted. Suffice to say, we weren't very fond of this guy. The Fool Savior. Serious crane in the neck. And then here a poem begins, I believe. Steps, shattered bricks. A step, a poem, a folly. Flayed truce. All fight disrepair. A dragon re-arises, a friend to the bear. The pyramids crack, Euphrates to the stone, until I split open, left nothing but bone. And And, there's a lot to break down in all of this. Steps being spelt as Steppes, I believe has some geographical significance. The Euphrates River, the pyramids, and of course, the imagery of and the metaphor of the dragon and the bear. Interesting stuff. So if anyone wants to weigh in on that, please do. Anyway, here I'm just explaining that we, at this point, we're kind of just saying we need proof. We need proof that we're not the ones doing this. And, again, we mentioned the lotto because we're idiots. Se7en says, swim first. You do your part, then I shall do mine. One of us asks, do I have to swim tomorrow? No. Lazy. Can you give Green something incredible to believe all of this? Because again, we're leaving room. We're taking everything with a grain of salt. Page 96. Fun. In what book? They will find it. How? They will. Do they own the book? No. What happens after Pink swims? A step. Share Green. And then this word that I have Googled it so many times because it looks like it's a word backwards, but I have never been able to figure it out. So again, if anyone has any ideas, please let me know, because that is it for that conversation. So thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry, this one was kind of short. I will follow up tomorrow with part 8. Thanks. So guys, I have a bit of an announcement to make. I decided today that I am not going to continue with the 7 transcripts. I do have quite a lot to go. There's tons of pages left, but I've just decided that from here on out, I'm not going to cover it anymore. I'm still going to keep making TikTok videos, but I'm not going to talk about 7 anymore. Instead, I'm going to devote my time to deep dives on the Bad Baby Alabama Barker beef, mixed a little bit with the Meghan Markle Netflix show, like an episode by episode breakdown on my thoughts on Meghan's show. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. But I did have that thought today. I was like, I wonder what these 46,000 followers, what would they do if my next video, I just didn't talk about 7 and I just talked about my thoughts on Meghan Markle's show. Like, what would people do? But no, unfortunately, it seems I am the Ouija board girl, the Se7en girl on TikTok. And that's my lot in life. That's okay. Some people get to talk about Bad Baby. I get to be the Dolphin 7 girl. We all have our calling in life. Anyway, I am going to do part 8 tonight. And it will probably be brief like yesterday's. And thank you guys for those who gave me recommendations on how to help my videos reach. It is not that I guess I just want to make sure I'm not wasting my time. I just want to make sure that if I'm making these videos and I'm trying to share these transcripts, I'm sorry, my dishwasher's so loud. Why is it so loud? I just want to make sure that people are seeing my videos and I'm not wasting my time and that, these transcripts are being shared. That's all. And before I jump in with the next part, I thought I would take the time to address some of the comments that I'm getting, which is a ton. Thank you guys for being so involved and so interested. Number one, a lot of people are asking, are you purple? Are you pink? Are you green? Who did purple go into politics? I'm not, at this point, I'm not comfortable sharing more details about who is who and, stuff from our personal lives. I redacted it to kind of like keep some of our privacy, and that's how I want to keep it for right now. I hope that's okay. The second thing I wanted to say, and this might not be a popular take, but this is, and you can do whatever you want with it. It's just my opinion. But I see a lot of comments about ChatGPT and AI and, did you put the poems into ChatGPT? Or, I talked to ChatGPT, I asked what swim means, and this is what it said. And while I certainly see the value of ChatGPT, I myself have used it. I wanted to say really quickly that don't underestimate the power of your own brain and your own analysis. You're all very smart. You're all very observant and analytical, And I don't know that we need ChatGPT as much as we think that we do. I think sometimes it definitely has some like interesting perspectives, and it is very cool and very impressive. But it can be wrong, first of all. And second of all, we have these beautiful human brains that are capable of really impressive thought. So don't over rely, I guess would be I think, and this is for myself too, because I have found myself in recent days like using it more often than I probably need to. But I would say the human brain is capable of some amazing things, and I think our own analysis is pretty incredible. So I just wanted to say that. The other thing I see a lot is people asking us to go live talking to Se7en, and I'm not really interested in that for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that I really don't think Se7en would perform if it knew we were trying to like have a gotcha moment or like a proof kind of segment thing. I think it would act up and not perform right. That's just that's just the feeling I have. Secondly, I am not here to prove anything to anyone in terms of like, you don't have to believe this. I am totally comfortable with people being skeptical of this. I myself am quite skeptical of this. I don't know what this is, and I'm not out to prove to you guys anything whatsoever. And the other part of it is that I'm not trying to be the next like Zach Bagans or Long Island Medium. I'm not trying to make a career out of being like someone who can like speak to the spirits. It's not my thing. This is quite literally just this weird thing in our lives that I'm trying to share part of with the world, in the hopes that it would make sense or have an impact. I don't know. So I have no intention of going live, or having any kind of like recorded sessions of us doing this, because also we don't speak to Se7en ever these days. It's told us not to. And so we've tried to listen to that as we've gotten older and wiser and more mature. So there's that, and I don't know, it just feels weird. And yeah. But also, to those people who still don't believe me, I would like to think that if I were making this up and I was writing this myself, I would make us sound a little cooler than we currently sound. Some of this stuff is pretty embarrassing. And it has been edited and redacted to protect certain things. So it's even more personal than you think. But even the stuff I'm sharing is so cringy sometimes. I would probably make us sound a little cooler if I was faking this. I don't know. Or like at least asking slightly more intelligent questions. Anywho, with that being said, I'm going to jump in. I do want to take another second to say that it is odd to me, the timing of some of this, that what I'm sharing I'm sharing it chronologically, but the pace, I'm not like pre-thinking the pace at which I share this. And some of the things that are lining up in the news with some of the things I'm sharing as I'm sharing it, considering this is all from like 2013, 2014, is kind of giving me the heebie-jeebies sometimes. Again, I am reserving a lot of, I'm taking everything with a grain of salt, but it is pretty odd. And I don't know, this is just a wild ride. So with that, let's keep going. Okay, so the next conversation took place March 3rd, 2014, after Pink swam for the first time in a pool. I swam today, Se7en. Did I do it right? More free again, less concern, less worry, float, free. I have to do it multiple times. Why? Each is needed. Steps. Each is fun. But it's expensive. It's $15 each time. See, that's that embarrassing stuff I was telling you guys about. So perhaps one should spend their time wise instead of waste. So a little life advice from Se7en to the idiots. Worry as many steps are needed until you lose count. That number is up to you. You who records so well. And then Pink says, oh, you saw maybe that I wrote that I swam in my calendar? Do you see us all again? You see us all the time again now? You came to Se7en. Swim. So could I swim just one more time so long as I did it right the next time? But you won't. How come my mission has to be the stupid one? Not stupid. Can we swim together? Yes. You all can join missions. No one singular victory royal. But it wouldn't help the overall mission to do each other. So at this point, I think this person was asking about the listen, learn, create, that whole thing, politics. No. Why can only we talk to you? All can. And then that is the end of the conversation. And then the next part is going to be some more poetry, some more seeming nonsense, but some interesting stuff about trouncing and enemies. But yeah, let me know what what you guys make of that in the comments. But thank you guys for tuning in like always. I appreciate hearing all your theories. But yeah, thanks. I'll talk soon. Okay, part 10. This conversation took place July 18th, 2014. I do not remember what we asked for this conversation to start, but Se7en said, "A question here and disappear. Two twins now rest in peace. A flower field for each. One is sun, the other sand. A plain beauty. One starts the war, the other ends it. The triplet in 3 weeks." And that was it. And I added this note much later because it was only, I think, like a month or so after this conversation that the U.S. began airstrikes in Iraq. And I don't know if that's relevant or not, but I just added that note. And the next time we spoke to Se7en is not until January 7th, 2015. I guess we were really heeding what he said to not talk to him very often. And again, I don't remember what we asked, but this is what Se7en gave us. "The mind of God, as such the mind of man, a painter lies but tries to light the way. A gaggle of frighted fools pleasured hand, a troop of two tripe men who will not stay. Alas, dear reader, for you fail to hear," whatever that is. Fire, yes, backwards. Help us. Hello there, backwards. On the 1st of May, in the year of the Quay, or Key, as some people have told me, I met a spark. So we're seeing this again. "The 9 men who enter. Fear not, for I am not a harbinger of death." We've seen that before, twice. "Save us, save Se7en." So because the 1st of May had been mentioned twice now with Se7en, on May 1st, 2015, we decide to get on the board. And Se7en starts out with this. This. And if you look through it, you can see some things we've seen before. So Quay and May, Rust. What else? Ot May, I know we've seen before. Saint. Ooh, I don't know. You guys can help me out with that. But then he writes, "Finished am I of silly, squirrelish games. Ask, bet." I'm assuming that was better. Some more stuff that we don't understand. Ot May again. Runt. More confusing stuff. Runt was language of Ot runts. 43,000. We asked something about Neanderthals. Does he used to talk about 43,000 years ago? Possibly. Rotoscoped? Now that's never made any sense to me. I'm familiar with rotoscoping, that animation technique, but I have no idea what that is. Some more nonsense. Some V is U stuff. Remember Se7en saying that U's are written as V's. King of the Runts. Fun with a V. What does that have to do with rotoscoped? Or I was asking, does that have something to do with rotoscoped? Yes. How? You will see, again, V is you. How on earth do we make sense of what you're saying? Needn't. All is Se7en. Redots, or is it Stoddard backwards? I don't know. There's Pakwat again. We saw that up here. Swim. Pink asks, what can I expect when I swim correctly? Because as we saw before, they were apparently not swimming right. Wet. Coward. What will happen to me? Thoughts. Speak of this no more. Swim or do not. Swim or do not. Time is up. The weak will be weak. Swim. Swim. And that was it. So we're moving very quickly. We do not speak to Se7en again until December 6th, 2015. Se7en writes, "The land of Abram turns quick to dust. Wash the Ferris River." We ask, is this Se7en? Ustamgard. Ustamgard. What language is that? High TV? Again, this makes absolutely no sense to us, and this is what I was trying to tell you guys about these kinds of conversations. At this point, they make no sense. That's also why we stopped returning to 7 so often. What does your name mean? Title, dumb. Who was the first message about Abraham? 7. Do you have a message for us? Yes. Soon. What is soon? It. No. Mess. Age. Look to the east. T. Yes. 7. And then this. A promise made, a promise kept, a ladder never clomb. Soon bivouac, the giant's nest, so there's that kind of word again. The king soon overthrown. A dragon now, a hornet's home. Goodbye. The next conversation takes place February 13th, 2016. And I guess at this point, we're just kind of hopping on without any questions just to see what kind of comes through. 7 wrote, phase, you stump. He says that a few times, apparently. Then the continuation, you stump guard. That same name again. Again, title, Pharaoh, silent as nature, look to the new west. And that's it. And I might as well keep going because all these conversations are kind of similar. This next conversation took place February 26th, 2016. Rudderless now, you try to sail, a hail, a gale, a ship too frail. I think I'd only gotten one O here. 7 corrected that, told me to put an additional O. Yeah, that's what happened. Yes, what is the ship? 7. What is the gale? 7 save 7. Omnibus shattered. Arler clattered. 2311579. Viceful fortune. 2311579. Here we're trying to clarify, is that the word you meant, Arler? And then this, no, L, no, L, no, LM. We realize what it's saying, it's correcting it to read armor. And again, that would mean that armor is spelt with a U, as we've seen before. There is a new God who grows more empowered, not good, not evil. Who or what is this new God? Ustamgard. Are you Ustamgard? Is this an exorcist thing? We're clearly kind of getting freaked out here. Probably. Can you tell us more about Ustamgard or where we can learn more about him? Book. The answer's in a book? One book. Who is the book written by? This name. Is it a book that still exists? Yes. Hidden. So we can find this book. How do we find this book? Look to the east. So remember a second ago, it was look to the west. Page 1. It is the meaning of this tome to recount the final words of Ustamgard in his conversation with the god Se7en, 978 BC to you. It was written in 978 BC to you. And we can find this book. I have it on the flood. You humans have learned much but grown little. Goodbye. The next conversation is May 30th, 2016. A string of letters. Is this 7? No. Ustamgard. More letters. Can we speak to 7? Why? Swim. I did, says Pink. More. Baptized by swim. Oh, and then I added a note that we start to joke here about this being too weird and scary. Is 7 a demon? What's going on? 7 jokes. I want your souls. That's not funny. Is this 7? Swim in water. A river or the ocean or a swimming pool. Why did you say baptize? I'm trying to show how serious this all is. 3 years now. When a God on high has a mission from heaven, most listen. Every time you come forth to me, 7, it shows your failures, where the V is a U. Sorry, a U is a V. Goodbye. After a break, we come back, we ask a personal question about Pink. Your asking is why you will fail. Well, Pink says it was my idea, not Green's, it's my fault. They fail for following your frail lead. What does it matter if I swim, if I do what I'm supposed to do? What does it matter if we come and we talk to you once in a while? With each wasted second, you bring this world nearer to death. Se7en. Goodbye. Hi, I'm going to do part 11 here in just a second, but first I wanted to talk about my new books that I just got. They are books of poems by Joseph Auslander, my new friend that Se7en introduced me to, who wrote the poem about the snail that Se7en referenced. And that particular poem is in this one called More Than Bread. But this is actually not about Joseph Auslander. This is about the little note that came in my package. So I found these books randomly on eBay, and this note was in my box. Thank you for your purchase. I resigned from my job after 28 years to care for my wife, Kim, full-time. This is my main source of income. My biggest challenge is paying the mortgage. Selling books just isn't enough. Please see my story by following the link to my GoFundMe and consider donating. Thank you, Chris. I'm not affiliated with these people in any way, shape, or form. Again, I just kind of randomly picked. I was looking for Joseph Auslander books on eBay, and I found them. But I'm looking into their GoFundMe now, and it is a very sad story, very impactful. And it looks like they've received donations of old books like these, and they're selling them to help pay their bills and potentially pay for, she's going to have to go to memory care soon. She's going to need professional care beyond what I am able to provide. It just struck me because, things are crazy here in America. And it's just wild to me that so many people have to turn to GoFundMe to help pay their bills or just make paychecks stretch or, help cover medical costs. It's a crazy situation we're in. So I don't know. I thought I'd just throw this out there. I'll try to find a way to link out at least to their eBay store because there are a lot of really cool books that they're selling. But yeah, I don't know. I felt compelled to do this because, here I am with 47,000 plus wonderful folks watching me here. So I thought I would, Joseph brought them to my doorstep and I don't know. I just thought I'd try to help. So anyway, check them out if you feel so inclined. I was also thinking of addressing some of the poop heads that I've seen in my comments, but I don't think it really matters. I think poop heads are gonna poop head, and my job is just to deliver the message. This is nothing that I'm doing here is about me. I am just the vessel. I am the vase, and Se7en's message is the flowers. So this isn't about me. People can say and do whatever they please. So long as they're not hurting other people. But I personally feel compelled to lead through love, as Se7en has told me, and just kind of let it go. I'm just here to deliver the message. The message is the transcript. That's all that matters. We'll clarify one point, though. There are a lot of people who are saying that our questions that we've asked are dumb or disappointing, or that the world is going to end because we're asking such stupid questions. And maybe that's true. I don't know. But these transcripts are just, it's a record of a conversation. So I only recorded the questions that we asked that were answered. So this is not the full scope of the questions that we have asked Se7en. And again, this has been edited to protect our privacy and, some details about us. So this isn't the full picture. Few things on the internet usually are. But that doesn't make what I'm sharing less true or, in my opinion, less important. But I'm not here to convince anyone to believe me or not believe me or whatever. I'm just conveying the message. Also, Se7en said that everyone can speak to Se7en. So if anyone out there has some really brilliant questions to ask Se7en, I guess you can go ahead and do that yourselves. Anywho, with that being said, hopefully that wasn't too sassy. But let's get to part 11. Okay, so our next conversation with Se7en took place 2 years later. March 12th, 2018, we came with prepared questions. So our first question was, did we make any progress for the mission with our work at blank? So it was a job that we had that we lost. Unfinished. Wait a bit. What are we waiting for? So that was an unscripted question. Have we failed? No, not yet. Has anything about the apocalypse vision changed? The date, the method, etc. So we're back to the scripted questions. Unsure. Should we move back to blank? Unsure. Should we stay in blank? Unsure. What should we wait for to see? It. Yes. Not yet. When Pink swam during the summer, did they make progress? So to everyone who is saying, Pink needs to swim, why hasn't Pink swam? Pink did swim a lot. No. What should they do differently? Swim. Did it not count because you last told us that Green has to swim too? A joke. Fun 7. We asked a whole bunch of questions that we prepared, but we didn't get answers to any of them. What should we do? Work. We don't have jobs. What should our jobs be? Sharing Green. We felt like we were doing that with our job. Yes. Continue. Next step. Team needed. The 4 of us, contact 3? No. Others. Do we know them already in blank? Some. Should we stay in blank with them? Is it bad if we move to blank? Unsure. What happens if we move to blank, but we were meant to stay in blank? Sad 7. How come you don't know if we should move out or not? 7 knows. You know? Yes. But you won't tell us? No. Fun. It's not exactly fun for us. And then someone says, I'm going to go back to the previous questions about purple. No. Focus on yourself. And then the planchette rolls to one of us. Do you mean we should focus on ourselves individually? Yes. What are we supposed to do? Struggle. Are we supposed to move? Unsure. When? When are we going to know? We have to plan. We have to tell our landlord. What are we waiting for? It. Will it be obvious what it is? Yes. Why does it make us feel weird to talk to you? Uses your life. Like years of our lives? Yes. Is that a joke? It's not funny. I guess we didn't get a response. Are you there? Well, if you have nothing else to say, we're going to sign off. And then it rolls over goodbye. And a few, kind of interesting or important tidbits here. The making us feel weird bit is that's often after conversing with 7, we would get headaches. Sometimes during it, our ears would ring, which maybe that was like a medical problem, but it always only happened during our conversations with 7. And just to circle back to this part of the conversation, the reason why our jobs were brought up, we had public-facing jobs where we spoke to a lot of people every single day. And often in those roles, we tried to lead through love and, kind of fulfill the mission that way. So when we lost those jobs, we were, kind of pretty deeply impacted and we're very confused because we really thought we were fulfilling the mission through those jobs. Anyway, a couple weeks later, March 24th, 2018, we're still going through it. Hey, 7. Hey. One of us is crying. What are we supposed to do? Wait a bit longer. None of this makes sense. No, but it will soon. What do we do? Swim. Crying harder. I don't know how to swim right. You are. I'm swimming right now? Yes. I thought it had to be in a pool or, body of water of some sort. In a way. So before he was saying that he meant literally swim. Now it seems figurative. I don't know. Contact 4, soon 7, which that's pretty crazy and still don't know what that means. Do red and red matter in this? These are people that we did not like at the time. We had some beef with these people from our college days. Yes. Are they contact 4? No. Are we supposed to apologize to them? Because we'd been having these feelings, like these kind of like gut feelings that we needed to reach out to them and make peace with them. And we did. Well, we apologized. Yes, in a way. Fight harder. You, my little ones. Goodbye. And just to circle back here to wait a bit longer, about 2 weeks after this conversation, we ended up sort of getting our old jobs back. So we ended up staying put where we were and working at that same place. So people have asked me, has 7 ever predicted anything that came true in our own lives? And the answer is yes, this was that instance. And I've run out of time, but our next video will pick up here August 2019. And this is the only part of our conversations with 7 that ever mentioned potentially a politician by name. So I will get into all that. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye. So guys, including the conversation that I stupidly skipped by mistake the other day, this is all I have left. These are the only pages I have left to read. This might be my final video. We'll see. It just depends on how many I can get through in the next 10 minutes. So let's get started. So the conversation I accidentally skipped in my previous video was from November 13, 2016. And the first question tells you exactly where we were in American history. It is the only question we came to the board to ask. Does a Trump presidency mean we failed? As pertinent of a question today as it was 9 years ago. But Se7en does not answer it. He writes, "You must swim. By coming to Se7en, you fail." Pink replies, "I've swam. How many more times do I have to swim? This is ridiculous." So we were pretty frustrated. And the response here was very fast. "How dare you mutter? By coming to you, Se7en failed. You waste. Green must now read as well as swim. Pink must not be trusted for fear of failure." The planchette begins to move in weird circles, and then it writes, "Save Se7en." And then we come back March 2018, and this is what you guys read. Okay, so now that we are all caught up, we are back to August 30th, 2019, and we came with prepared questions, but we didn't get a chance to ask them because Se7en begins right away with this. "Your broke Phrygian cap, made up of fool's gold, but fast fleeting flight, though seemingly cold. Behold, warmth now resonates for new residents, a song for pence. Hail a high fence, at a lovely distance, to recompense the heavy-soaked olden of," and then a typo that Se7en corrects for us and is very clear that is not what he meant. So what it intended was the heavy-soaked burden of old. We ask, is Pence going to be our next president? We shall find. We then ask about getting a new apartment because we were facing a pretty big change in our lives, and we weren't sure about it. An apartment? Such a big life choice. Save Se7en. Here, just to give you guys some details, the band at this point had broken up a little bit. You know, again, this is an ongoing 12-year conversation with Se7en, so life had changed a bit, and there was space between, some of the members of the group, and nothing to do with this, just regular life stuff drifting apart. And we were wondering about that. Is that okay? Do we need to remain a group? Can we still succeed if we aren't one unified group? Never was, just steps, silly squirrels. And then here, just complete at a loss. What are you? A ghost? An alien? What is this? The same question we've been asking since day one. Se7en replies, Se7en, fun. Here we ask about the Sumerian gods. If it's okay that we're not a group, like why did you give us these names of Enlil, Anki, etc.? A step long past is no longer needed. It was needed, but now, etc., etc., etc. I don't remember what we asked here. We were kind of floundering and confused, and the planchette was moving funny. You will meet me in Colombia. Now, the thing to note here is that is actually where we were thinking of moving to, is Colombia. And I feel okay revealing that because there are lots of Colombias in the country. But when you circle back to the earlier part of the conversation, this hail exclamation, Hail Colombia is the official song of the vice president. So if you look up Hail Colombia, you can read all about it, but it is the song of the role, the office of vice president. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Colombia is depicted as wearing a Phrygian cap. So highly recommend everyone looks into the Phrygian cap and what it symbolized. I don't know where it gets its start, but I know that it was a very big icon during the French Revolution. Anyway, getting back to the conversation, Se7en rolls over goodbye, but we decide to get back on and see if it will answer our pre-written questions. And it, once again, does not answer our first question. It just writes, save Se7en. And we say, we're trying to, we don't know what to do. We feel like we're messing up. Everything is just making us go crazy. Only if you let it. Is it a mistake to distance ourselves from orange and purple? They too will grow. I thought we had to do this as a group. So again, just reiterating, confusion about that. Yes, it does not need be all together. They have their roles and steps. It feels like we're moving backwards. Are we? 5. We assume this is a weird mistake. We keep going. How soon is contact 4? 5. Was contact 2, that's our boy, Vasily Arkhipov, which is connected to October 27th, 1962, which was the date that he provided as contact 2, when contact 2 succeeded. No, his great-grandfather. We ask Se7en something about meeting him in Colombia. Most of this is a blur. It's all moving quickly and strangely. In a way, 7. In a way, you are 7. 5. Of the 4, a new member. In a way, steps. And we say, you are always so spooky. Spooky backwards. How will we know who is the 5th? At this point, I guess we're assuming there used to be 4 of us. Now there will be 5 of us. Phrygian cap. Libertas. This person will actually be wearing a cap? In a way. Will this person actually be a human? Yes. Do you have a boss? So here we're pivoting to bigger questions. Yes. Are you some kind of middle manager? No. Are you allowed to tell us what you are? Yes. Why don't you? You would not understand. Are you in this universe? No. Are you in a parallel universe? In a way. Save 7. I don't remember what we asked here. I think we were just asking general questions. What can he tell us? What can't he? All. I can, but do not. Fun. Is all of this leading to some malicious end with you? No. We feel like puppets. Yes. As am I. 7. What does that mean? What is the bigger mission at play here? 7 goes to the question mark that's drawn on the board. You don't know why we're here or what all of this is about? I know much, but not that. When you do a V instead of a U, is that significant? Yes. Is it a riddle we're meant to solve? No. We just feel so manipulated. Yes, in a way. Are we being manipulated to do good stuff? Yes. Are you trying to drive us crazy? A bit. Are you trying to steal our souls and give them to the devil? And this is actually one of my favorite things that Se7en has ever told us. Souls cannot be stolen, and the devil is a human invention, as is the hydrogen bomb. Save 7. He rolls over goodbye, and we end there. We don't return until March 29, 2020. I'm sure you guys know what was going on during that time, why we might have returned. We ask it things like, are you there? Have we failed? Are you behind the blank? What are we supposed to be doing? What is going on? It moved, but very, very slowly, and all it wrote was this, and then it rolled over goodbye, which we kind of assumed is swim, but mirrored upside down, and with the 5 as the S, if that makes sense. We don't get back on the board until November 3rd, 2022. We ask a personal question for help with something. We don't specifically ask for 7. We just kind of get on and see if somebody would help us with this little quandary. Silence, a virtue? To bring me alone to the dance. Violence, all issue, to get us to war without chance. Goodbye. So we never got our question answered, and this is just a little poem we got. And then guys, this is it. This is our final conversation with Se7en, which I've already shared here on TikTok. I checked in with him in February after going quote unquote viral with my video here, and he wrote out 110 exclamation, which is how many days we had until May 27. And he wrote, find your glory. So often we find fear within our hearts, the tomb of counting daily down the clock. To find your glory, all shall play their part. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Share Se7en. So guys, that's it. We're finished. That is the transcript. Those were our conversations with Se7en dating back to 2013. Minus a few things I removed to protect our privacy. So yeah, I don't know what to do from here. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you think I should talk about or cover, but that might be the end of my TikTok career. So thanks for tuning in, and check us out on the subreddit. So guys, I am so dumb. Se7en clearly chose the wrong messenger here, but people in the comments have pointed out that I skipped another conversation totally by accident. It was just a complete oversight, and that took place on July 9th, 2016. So I'm really sorry about that, but let's give that to you really quickly so we can officially say I have read everything. Se7en writes more, X. What should purple be doing to get closer to politics? Study the way. Z-Tech, MWAC, FLMC. What should they study? Original thought. What is that? Law. Wasted time. TP, MWA. More letters, W, WAIBL, and then more, green read, pink swim, purple politic, orange listen, more, save Se7en, to return to the whole. Se7en is the whole. Dreams work too. Doing great work, children. And I believe that last line was in response to us saying something like, if memory serves, it was something like, oh, don't we get any credit for what we have been doing, what we are trying to do? And Se7en's response was, doing great work, children. And up here, Se7en just used the first letter of each of our names. And then that would bring us to the November 2016 conversation after Trump was elected into office. Okay, so now I can officially say I have read every single conversation in the transcript. And don't you guys catch any more that I missed, because I'm done. Just kidding. If you see something, let me know. But anyway, stay tuned, because I did get some great suggestions for a next video, so I'm going to announce that soon, along with some information about sharing the transcript with you all. So I will make a video on that very soon. I just wanted to quickly drop in that final conversation so I could truly call it a wrap. But anyway, stay tuned. I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Okay, thanks. Bye. Hi, guys. So 2 very quick updates for me. One, now that I've read through the transcript and provided all the context for all the conversations, I feel comfortable sharing that with you all. So to all of those who've been asking, where's the doc? Where's the doc? If you head to my bio, it's there. The second update is, I think for my next video, what I'm going to try, we'll see if this works, is crowdsourcing questions from all of you to ask Se7en. So if you go to my bio, there's also a form where you can submit your questions, and I'll look through them and pick some, and we'll see what Se7en has to say. So that's all for now. If you have any trouble accessing that stuff in my bio, let me know. I'll try to remedy it, and I'll talk to you very soon. Okay, thanks. Bye.